For corporations, President Adams responded to those criticisms, saying,
"We have the fastest growing household income in the country, and that equates exactly to being able to buy things that are needed for families."
Republican leaders also pointed to their recent efforts to lower housing, gas, and childcare costs. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Don't wait until school is out. Now is the time for your teen to get their summer job. Workforce Development Specialist Troy Lamb says many have already started their job search, and employers want them to hit the ground running.
They want to help the teens get trained and ready to go. So as of June 1st, they're effectively ready to start working and not having to be trained during the summer.
But don't worry, Lamb says there's still plenty of time for your teen to find something. But the later it gets, there will be more competition for those entry-level seasonal jobs. He says it helps to network with family and friends. Tax day is here, and many Americans are scrambling to get their filing in on time. KSL News Radio's Cameron Elliott reports.
For some, tax day is a time of great stress, running to the post office or more often to a website, crossing your T's and dotting your I's. But for others, tax day is an arbitrary deadline. After all, they did their taxes months ago. I spoke to people on the street in Salt Lake City, and one resident, Will, says filing late is nothing new to him.
I just finished them like a week ago. It's about on time. I'm cutting it pretty close. I don't know. I don't really think about it too much until it's about to be the deadline.
Other residents say they file in January, as early as possible, while some say they normally file earlier but were hampered by new tax laws and confusing documents. Cameron Elliott, KSL News Radio.
Some Americans say their top frustration with the tax system is feeling like they are paying an unfair amount when compared to the rich and corporations. Nearly the same amount of Americans tell the Pew Research Center that they feel like both some wealthy people and companies are paying less in taxes when compared to others. There are other frustrations with how taxes are filed. Here's Salt Lake City resident Gregorio Vasquez.
Not only do we pay taxes on our income, but then when we go buy stuff, there's taxation on our food and a lot of other things, our properties. It's just, I don't understand what's going on.
Vasquez says he believes in paying taxes and helping the country, but things don't seem fair right now. It might be a pain, but it's important to file. The CEO of the Utah Association of Certified Public Accountants, Susan Spears, tells Inside Sources, if you don't, it will cost you.
Regardless of whether you can pay or not, make sure you file your taxes. Because if you don't, you could be assessed a failure to file penalty, which is 5% of the unpaid taxes up to 25% of the amount owed. That penalty is totally avoidable just by filing the return.
She says if you owe, it's best to pay what you can and then come up with a payment plan. KSL's top national stories. President Trump says U.S. policy in Iran and the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz has been working. CENTCOM says the blockade is now fully implemented, meaning no vessel has been able to navigate the strait from Iranian ports.
The U.S. has announced a formal blockade of Iranian ports and coastal areas. This is illegal action. All vessels are advised to immediately return to port if leaving and discontinue transit to Iran.
Iran says that the U.S. blockade is a prelude to a ceasefire violation.
He is expressing confidence and optimism, but not explaining why he is confident and optimistic, because there are no talks right now scheduled between the U.S. and Iran. The president indicated to our John Carl that there could be an amazing 2 days ahead, but he didn't elaborate on what that meant. He was asked if Vice President Vance might be involved in further talks between the U.S. and Iran, and he said that he could be, but notably, there is nothing scheduled right now.
That is ABC's Karen Travers. 2 other countries are trying to work out a peace deal. ABC News chief foreign correspondent Ian Pannell has more on that.
The first direct talks in more than 30 years have been held in Washington, D.C. between representatives of Israel and Lebanon. Secretary of State Rubio calling them historic. But Israel's war with Hezbollah, the Iranian-backed militant group in Lebanon, shows no sign of easing. Over 2,000 people have been killed, more than 1 million forced from their homes, with more attacks in Lebanon and Israel this morning and fresh evacuation orders in Lebanon.
Hezbollah, a designated terrorist group, was not at the table. The ceasefire could be dependent on the Lebanese government disarming the group. First look traffic. Good afternoon, Cormac.
Afternoon, Maria. Looks like we have just a little bit of northbound I-15 slowdowns as you approach 13 South. And if you were stuck on those westbound delays on I-80 approaching the I-80-201 interchange, that's because UHP was doing a controlled slowdown, but that has since cleared out as well. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:05.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline, so I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula, cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
We finally realized something.
We wanted more time for family, faith, and service.
And less time giving every Saturday to the house.
Amen to that.
At Ovation Homes, active adults 55 plus can enjoy beautifully designed, low-maintenance homes in a welcoming community built for this season of life.
More peace, less upkeep.
Learn more about Ovation Homes' newest communities in West Point, Syracuse, and Layton. Visit ovationhomes.com. That's ovationhomes.com. Your best years start at Ovation Homes.
We decided to downsize.
Less to manage.
Fewer stairs.
More friends.
Ovation Homes. Downsize the stairs, upsize the lifestyle. Your best years start at Ovation Homes. To learn more about your next home, find a community, or speak to an Ovation specialist, visit ovationhomesutah.com. That's ovationhomesutah.com. Your best years start at Ovation Homes.
Any Hour Services can help unclog any drain in your house, whether you have a backup, a clog, or a slow drain you want fixed. Call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Thank you for joining us for Midday, recapping our top story. Utah has been ranked as a state with the best economic outlook for the 19th year in a row. But some people say the rising cost of things like housing and gas do not make it feel so successful. KSL News Time 12:08. Salt Lake residents are speaking up for the community education program that is set to end this summer. Several residents showed up at the Salt Lake City School Board meeting last night asking leaders to keep the community education program.
These community education classes mean a lot to community members who want to continue lifelong learning at affordable prices.
The board says the program is outside their mission to educate K-12 students, and they need to reallocate resources. Some speakers say the classes can benefit young students by acting as an after-school workshop. Salt Lake City is looking to crack down on overnight camping, citing public safety concerns. It's complicating things for the unhoused population. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
People experiencing homelessness really don't have a choice and often have to sleep outside. But city officials say banning camping and getting rid of encampments would improve public safety. It has advocates for the unhoused speaking up, telling KSL the city does not have enough resources to even help everyone in need. And the criminalizing of homelessness, along with the lack of resources, is just going to make things worse for everyone. The ban would also keep people from leaving their property somewhere or sleeping in cars. The vote to see if the ban will stand is set for next month. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
A new institute at the University of Utah is hoping to find new ways to extract and utilize critical minerals domestically. U of U professor in the Department of Materials Science and Engineering, Michael Free, says that right now the U.S. is importing between 50 and 100% of the critical minerals and materials that we need, which can cause supply chain issues.
The supply gets disrupted. That means that the manufacturer can't make the cell phone or the computer.
Free says these materials are crucial for everything from technology to national security. He says the new Institute for Critical and Strategic Minerals will address supply chain concerns and give students at the U valuable experience and bring more jobs to the state. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Cormac, any trouble spots?
Yeah, there is, Maria. We do have a crash on northbound I-15 now. It's new at 114th South. They're blocking, it looks like, a left lane and shoulder, maybe two left lanes there. And we are seeing some heavier delays starting to build up there at 114th South. But otherwise, roadways looking pretty good in your midday drive. The delays that we had on northbound I-15 in downtown Salt Lake have cleared out, so it's just construction giving drivers grief. Eastbound Pioneer Crossing in Lehigh, scattered delays from Redwood Road over to I-15. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
It'll be the warm before the storm today, folks. High of 69 degrees, breezy out of the south, and mostly cloudy skies. 44 overnight, mostly cloudy, couple of showers possible. Tomorrow, I've got 55 for a high. That's the first half of the day. Midday cold front gets us a little bit of snow in the valley and drops temperatures to the 30s. We got a little bit of snow shower activity Friday morning, then clearing. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Mostly cloudy, 62 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City. Still to come on Midday, we'll hear from KSL's legal analyst, Greg Skordas, about a woman who says her mom was behind a scheme to kill her husband. That's coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Don't miss the excitement of the crowd, the perfect ping of 300-yard drives, the sound of sinking a 15-foot putt, shifting the leaderboard. Challenge is an understatement. Beautiful, bold, athletic. LPGA's next-gen stars vying for glory on a course that's as stunning as it is challenging. The Copper Rock Championships Epson Tour, May 14th through 16th. Come for the game. Stay for the journey. Copper Rock, born to be played.
Since 1947, Whipple Service Champions has been Utah's most trusted name for heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical services. Got a high-priced repair bill from another company and you're just not sure about it? Call Whipple. Get a free, no-pressure estimate or bring us their quote for an honest second opinion. Totally free. Whipple Service Champions, Utah's first place for second opinions since 1947. Call 385-273-7167 for your free estimate today. 385-273-7167.
For over 22 years, speaking on business on KSL News Radio has been a beloved tradition, celebrating our heroic business leaders and Utah consumers who have helped build one of the strongest state economies in the nation. Now, under the stewardship of the Salt Lake Chamber and hosted by Chamber President and CEO Derek Miller, the program continues to shine a spotlight on those who make Utah's business environment dynamic and thriving. With his expertise and passion, Derek brings the stories of our business community to life. As part of the Salt Lake Chamber, Speaking on Business is proud to continue its legacy of highlighting inspiring stories, trends, and special guests. Support Utah businesses now and be part of Utah's thriving economy. More information can be found at slchamber.com. That's slchamber.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
As the #1 small business lender, Zions Bank helps entrepreneurs reach and exceed their goals. Visit your local branch or zionsbank.com/SBA. Equal housing lender.
KSL News Time, 12:15. The 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
younger people are having strokes more often. University of Utah researchers say it's because they're having more health problems. I'm KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis.
Second, President Trump is threatening to fire Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. His term technically ends on May 15th. Third, traffic and weather together, Cormac.
Heavy delays on northbound I-15 just behind a crash at 114 South in Draper. They're blocking a couple of left lanes. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Breezy south winds kick up this afternoon with mild temperatures. I'm Matt Johnson.
And it's breezy, mostly cloudy, 62 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time now for KSL's top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Pakistani officials have arrived in Tehran trying to firm up another round of peace talks with the U.S. The Strait of Hormuz remains blocked off. President Trump, though, says he believes the war could be over soon. ABC's Ian Pannell has more.
Iran's president posting, "No power can force us to surrender." The Washington Post reporting thousands more U.S. troops are being sent to the region to squeeze Iran further. And CENTCOM saying the U.S. naval blockade of Iran has completely halted economic trade going into and out of Iran via the sea. But the war and the squeeze on this vital waterway impacting the U.S. economy too, with high gas prices. And now the International Monetary Fund warning of the danger of global recession.
President Trump renewing calls for Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell to step down even after his term as chair ends next month.
Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's term ends on May 15th. He said last month he would continue to serve after that date if his successor, Kevin Warsh, is not yet confirmed. But President Trump is once again threatening to fire Powell if he doesn't step down when his term ends. The president telling Fox News, quote, "I'll have to fire him." A president can fire a member of the Fed for cause, but Trump's attempt to fire Fed Governor Lisa Cook last year is currently awaiting a decision at the Supreme Court. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
A principal at an Oklahoma high school is being hailed a hero after stopping a would-be mass shooter last week. Surveillance video showing Principal Kirkmore tackling the suspect.
Court documents state the suspect, identified as 20-year-old Victor Hawkins, intended to carry out a mass shooting, telling detectives that he was inspired by Columbine and that he, quote, did not like Principal Moore, so he went to the high school to kill him. Moore laying on top of the suspect after tackling him, joined by an assistant principal who takes the gun from the suspect, Moore keeping him there until law enforcement could arrive.
ABC's Matt Rivers. Moore was shot in the leg but will recover. You're listening to ABC News.
Time now for the KSL In-Depth. We've been following a case where a woman is accused of luring her estranged husband home to Utah to kill him. She was in court today and said it was her mother behind the killing. KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas is joining me. And Greg, this is a very unusual story.
Oh, to say the worst. I to say the least.
That too.
Yes, yeah. Right. It is weird. I mean, anytime you have family dynamics, and especially something like this, and a murder plot, I mean, how do you get to that point in a family where that's something that you really want to do? And how do you involve each other in that? And why would you? I mean, just as a parent myself, and as a son, I mean, what would it take for you to do something to convince your children, or for your parents to convince you to do something like that? It's hard to imagine that dynamic or how you could even do that.
Right. Is that even a defense to say my mother made me do it?
It's not. I mean, it could be what we call mitigation. In other words, when you are convicted, because the guilt is guilt. That's there's no mitigation to that. But in terms of what the punishment is, maybe the Board of Pardons or maybe the judge or somebody will take that into account in deciding what the ultimate punishment is. But when a person is charged with murder, the elements are, did you knowingly, intentionally cause the death of another person or participate in that? Not why, not what was leading you to do that, or not what did mommy say. It goes to the guilt part. But in terms of the punishment part, it could be mitigation.
So the charges right now are murder charges.
Exactly, yes. Yeah, and they're serious, and so everybody's facing that because it's a murder, and the question becomes, what was their intent? And it seems to me that what they're saying is we wanted to kill them. You know what I mean? That was our intent. So in terms of that crime itself, that's what the elements are. And once you've satisfied that, you've at least got the murder charge.
Okay, so where are we in the process of this case?
Okay, so it's kind of weird because now we're going to trial. So it seems to me, looking at this, that the daughter that was being questioned here has already pled, or at least she came to court in handcuffs or something. So I was trying to figure out what her involvement was. But everybody's been charged, but they're all having their own separate trials. So you wouldn't have them all coming in at the same time. That's why because if you think about it, when a person is accused of a crime, they don't have to testify against themselves. But if you're a witness to a crime, they can subpoena you. They can bring you in. And once your case is resolved, if you've pled or you've been found guilty, you've reached a plea bargain, you no longer can hide is not the right word, but you no longer can shield yourself behind the Fifth Amendment. So the state has decided how to put these cases in separate order so that they can get members of the family to testify against one another.
All right, Greg. Thanks for your explanation. We appreciate it. Very confusing case.
Yes.
And you've been listening to the KSL In-Depth at 15 and 45. Let's get you up to date on the drive, traffic, and weather. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Cormac?
Well, we are still seeing delays starting on northbound I-15 in Draper near 123rd South. That's because there's a crash blocking 2 left lanes at 114th South. We're also seeing a little bit of southbound I-15 delays approaching 106 South there as well. Otherwise, I-15 looks pretty good all across the Wasatch Front. And in Clinton, we do still see this road closed due to emergency maintenance. It's 1800 north. Both directions are closed between about 1500 west and 2000 west in that construction zone. Common Spirit hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advanced healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. Bit of a roller coaster ride here at the beginning. How about 69 today, mostly cloudy and breezy out of the south. Tomorrow, 55, cold front sometime midday, rain switching over to snow, breezy and cold. 47 on Friday, AM snow shower then clearing. We then warm it nicely into Saturday, 59, mostly sunny. Partly cloudy skies, 69 by Sunday. Headed into Monday, 76 degrees, partly cloudy. We keep those 70s on Tuesday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And it's a blustery one in downtown Salt Lake City, mostly cloudy and 62 degrees. The 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. And a quick check of the markets at this hour. It is a mixed day. The NASDAQ is doing really well, but the Dow is down by 0.25%. A complete update of your money news is coming up next.
Are you looking for a fun way to get your kids outside and off their screens this spring? Try flower gardening. Starting a beautiful flower bed or easy container garden is a great hands-on way to spend quality time together while teaching kids about nature. They'll love digging in the dirt, picking out their favorite flowers, and watching them bloom, all while making real, lasting memories. Plus, gardening is a great way to slow down, soak up some sunshine, and enjoy the fresh air as a family. This is Brian with Olson's Greenhouse, and my family has been growing flowers with care for 4 generations right here in Utah. Whether you have a big sunny backyard or just a small shady front porch, our colorful, locally grown flowers make it easy to add beauty to your home. So this spring, start with a new family tradition, one that grows with your kids. Get inspiration at Olson's Greenhouse Gardens on Instagram or find a garden center near you at ogg.com. That's ogg.com for Olson's Greenhouse Gardens.
I'm Congressman Mike Kennedy. For years, Utah families have paid too much for health care, groceries, and everyday essentials. I'm fighting for health care reform that puts patients first and lowers costs. I'm also working to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington because your tax dollars should be spent wisely. Fiscal responsibility means lower costs and a government that works for you. I'm Mike Kennedy, and I'll keep fighting for Utah families. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Hello, this is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. Take the first step. Visit CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
KSL News Time 12:25. Madonna is planning to release a second part to her iconic album, Confessions on a Dance Floor. That was released 21 years ago. The original Confessions went certified platinum in 2005, won a Grammy for Best Electronic Dance Album in 2006. Part 2 is out on July 3rd. Watching Utah's money, Disney is laying off at least 1,000 people. It comes as the new CEO takes hold. One division is hitting hard, Marvel. Forbes reports it's losing staff in New York and Burbank. That includes artists, illustrators, character designers, and other technical specialists. More Americans are turning to AI tools for medical advice. A Gallup poll says about 1 in 4 U.S. adults did it in the last month. The poll follows at least 3 other surveys with similar findings. Gallup found that people often use AI chatbots for quick answers, additional information, or research before or after seeing a doctor. The Powerball is expanding and will now allow players in Europe to join. England, Scotland, and other parts of the UK made a deal with the Multi-State Lottery Association to allow it. Now, it's the first time a lottery outside the U.S. will contribute to the jackpot. And taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is down by 118 points, about 0.25%, sitting at 48,414. S&P, it's up by 40 points. The NASDAQ up more than a full percent, up by 274 points. The family of a social media influencer say they want answers after she passed away at a luxury resort in Tanzania. Ashley Robinson, known on social media as Ashley Janae, was traveling with her fiancé. More from ABC's Morgan Norwood.
According to Zanzibar authorities, after hotel guests at the Zuri Hotel reported a romantic conflict between the couple on the night of April 8th, hotel management moved McCann to a separate room about a 10-minute walk away. Well, a few hours later, authorities say Robinson was found unresponsive in her room by hotel staff, appearing to have harmed herself.
McCann is being questioned, but police say no arrests have been made.
We want to talk about SOTA Diet and Nutrition. SOTA stands for state of the art. And Andy and I both let go of massive amounts of weight. You more than me.
70 pounds in 5 months.
And I did 37 pounds in 3 months. And what worked for me was so many things. Talking to a nutritionist every week and having her tell me what to eat. I can do as I'm told.
Yeah.
But I have no clue where to begin.
And I needed the help too. It's just food. There's no pills, no injections. So you learn how to both let go of the weight and then how to keep it off.
So SOTA Diet and Nutrition is a great place to start. But if you started with pills or medications and you find yourself starting to gain some weight back, SOTA Diet and Nutrition is a great way to learn how to have a new relationship with food to go into the future.
You can talk with a nutritionist by calling 866-800-SOTA, S-O-T-A, or you can go to their website, sotadietandnutrition.com.
Join now and your partner joins for free. 2 people, real accountability for the price of 1.
Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
The movie show is at Minky Couture in Layton this Friday, 10 to 1. Minky Couture, the original creator of cozy indulgence with unmatched softness and premium quality. Visit minkycouture.com. Traffic and weather, it is brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU, love where you bank. Let's get an update of those slow spots. Here's Cormac Bone.
Yeah, Maria, it's definitely slow on northbound I-15 in Draper. This is due to a crash near 114th South. They're still blocking 2 left lanes. It looks like there's a pickup truck with a trailer, and they've sort of jackknifed themselves there in that left lane there. So that's why the delays are starting to grow here in the midday, because that cleanup's going to take a little longer than usual. Otherwise, though, roadways looking pretty good in the midday. You do still have construction delays in Lehigh, scattered in both directions from Redwood Road over to I-15. It's especially slow both directions approaching Saratoga Road. Did the heavy rain cause a leak in your home? S&S Roofing offers protection with high-quality roofing, expert repairs, and durable materials. Visit snsroofingutah.com for your free quote today. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Look for increasing clouds today, calling it mostly cloudy by afternoon, and a high of 69, breezy out of the south. Overnight, we're going to go to 44, increasing clouds, maybe even a couple of showers. Tomorrow, cold front sometime midday. I got a high of 55, but once the front passes, rain will switch over to snow with temperatures in the 30s. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
You're listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos
on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good afternoon. KSL News Time 1230. KSL's top story this hour. Calls for Utah Valley University to choose a different commencement speaker have reached a fever pitch now that Utah's congressional delegation is calling the decision tone deaf. KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson is live with the latest. Heather?
Maria, UVU announced last month that author Sharon McMahon, known as America's Government Teacher, would be the commencement speaker. But UVU's chapter of Turning Point USA says McMahon has posted a series of now deleted and out-of-context quotes from Charlie Kirk in the wake of his death that they believe was meant to tarnish his name instead of condemn the killing. Representative Burgess Owens posted on X that UVU has chosen a speaker who, in that moment of national grief, could not muster the basic decency to honor a life lost. Instead, she chose to diminish it. He called for the university to reverse course, and Representative Celeste Malloy, Senator Mike Lee, and other Republican leaders have shared similar sentiments. UVU officials had no comment on the controversy at this time. Reporting live, Heather Peterson, KSL News Radio.
We are learning more about the man accused of setting fires in Big Cottonwood Canyon. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera is live with what he told deputies. Eric?
Maria, KSL has obtained arrest documents that say 34-year-old Garrett J. Boyd told deputies he had been using meth and alcohol and claimed ancestors and spirits led him into Big Cottonwood Canyon. Investigators say Boyd intentionally started multiple fires and deputies saw him light at least one while others were already burning nearby. Competition dirt bike rider David Faircloth trains a lot in those canyons and says it could have gotten sketchy for hikers if things got out of hand.
It could be nerve-wracking up at the top for sure if you didn't have a clear way down, or you have to backtrack and go back up the mountain. That's not fast either.
Boyd was arrested on suspicion of arson. The affidavit also notes Boyd is homeless and not from Utah, with a history that includes disarming a police officer and active warrants tied to assaulting an officer and theft. Live, Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
A Utah man is responding with the Red Cross to help with Super Typhoon Sinlaku even before it arrives. Michael Smalden with Utah Red Cross says volunteers help with all facets of responding to a disaster.
The idea is to get rapid volunteers there deployed to be able to help with evacuations and sheltering, so we can put people in safe places before that typhoon hits.
And before the airports close. But Smalden advises people to get trained when things are calm to be a volunteer. Now, people are being told to treat this super typhoon like a Category 4 hurricane. Nearby islands, including Guam and Saipan, will also have serious risk of damage and other impacts. Young people are getting strokes more often, and it could be because of the 2026 lifestyle. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis has more.
There's a lot of sitting and other poor health choices. Poor diet, lack of exercise, smoking, and drinking can all lead to health issues that cause a stroke.
Traditional vascular risk factors like hypertension, obesity, diabetes are exceedingly common in young adults with ischemic stroke. And over the last decade, its incidence is only continuing to rise.
Neurologist Dr. Aaron Shoskes with the University of Utah says more should be done to warn young people about the risk of stroke and encourage them to get regular checkups. Strokes have traditionally been a concern for adults over age 65, but over the past 10 years, strokes in adults under that age have risen by nearly 16%. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
KSL's top national stories. A small handful of January 6th defendants are still carrying convictions on their records. That includes leaders of the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. The Trump administration is now moving to change that. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy has more.
The men were convicted of seditious conspiracy in some of the most serious January 6th cases. They all had their lengthy prison sentences commuted by President Trump, but they weren't covered by his blanket pardon. Now the Justice Department is moving in federal court to dismiss the charges that were brought against them, saying that doing so would be, in the words of the filing, in the interests of justice.
He pardoned more than 1,500 suspects originally, those who were charged with assaulting, resisting, or interfering with law enforcement. Other national stories KSL is following. President Trump is threatening to fire Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell again. ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers has the latest.
Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell's term ends on May 15th. He said last month he would continue to serve after that date if his successor, Kevin Warsh, is not yet confirmed. But President Trump is once again threatening to fire Powell if he doesn't step down when his term ends. The president telling Fox News, quote, "I'll have to fire him." A president can fire a member of the Fed for cause, but Trump's attempt to fire Fed Governor Lisa Cook last year is currently awaiting a decision at the Supreme Court. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
First look traffic, still trouble spots, Cormac?
That's right, Maria. Northbound I-15 delays are still growing because they are still blocking two left lanes on northbound I-15 at 114th South and Draper. Your slowdowns start near Bangerter Highway. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:35.
This is Jeff Stout with Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple. Let's talk conventional versus FHA loans. Both offer cash-out refinances up to 80% loan-to-value or LTV, so which is best for you? It's kind of like Uber and Lyft. I always compare the two before booking a ride. Conventional loans don't have mortgage insurance under 80% LTV. However, the rates and costs get higher with lower credit scores, cash-out, and high LTVs. FHA loans always have mortgage insurance, but the rates are lower, they don't penalize you for cash out and high LTV loans, and they allow for higher debt-to-income ratios. FHA often results in lower payment even with mortgage insurance. We can analyze your situation within minutes. Call us today. Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple, 801-264-9494. That's 264-9494. Or on the web at finkmcgregor.com. NMLS 289115.
Doug Wright here with Monty at Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer. Monty, give it to me straight. Why is Connecticut the premium choice over those standard electric softeners?
Doug, it comes down to this. Do you want an appliance you have to babysit? Standard water softeners have microprocessors and computers that need setting and adjustment. And they use a lot more salt. So you get to haul 40-pound bags of salt down to your basement every month or so.
And Connecticut?
Zero electricity, zero timers to reset, zero downtime.
What I did, and get the one that just works. Find out how soft your water could be at softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com.
Joining us from Midday, recapping our top story, UVU's commencement speaker has made some controversial comments about Charlie Kirk. Now some people are asking the school to choose someone else since Kirk was murdered on the campus. KSL News Time, 12:37. If you're headed to the East Coast for the World Cup, you already know that the ticket prices are through the roof, but it will cost you more just to even get into the stadium.
Normally, it costs about $13 to travel to and from MetLife Stadium in Penn Station, New York. But the New York Times is reporting New Jersey Transit plans to charge at least $100 if you want to travel that way to see FIFA World Cup games this summer. And while NJT usually gives discounts to seniors, kids, and the disabled, no discounts will be allowed. New York Senator Chuck Schumer calls the pricing a shakedown. New York Governor Kathy Hochul describes it as extremely high. And New Jersey Transit says it is still deciding on match day travel prices. Sherry Preston, ABC News, New York.
Utah Mammoth have officially locked down the first wild card spot in the Western Conference after beating the Winnipeg Jets 5-3 last night.
The Utah Mammoth know what seat they are sitting in on the train of the playoffs. It's first class, wild card one for the Mountain Blue.
That's how the final buzzer sounded on the KSL Sports Zone. This one is huge because now the Mammoth do not have to play Colorado, the team with the league's best record in the first round of the playoffs. Utah will play the winner of the Pacific Division, which will most likely be the Vegas Golden Knights. They could clinch a date with the Mammoth if they beat Seattle tonight. Utah Mammoth fans were given the opportunity to get on the ice after last night's win and write good luck messages with markers to the team before the Stanley Cup playoffs. Lisa Nilchan with the Mammoth organization says the fans have shown up for the team for the last 2 years.
They've learned hockey a lot faster than I expected them to. To be very frank, some of the best moments are when our fans can tell there's a bad call on the ice or when we get veggie chants going before you even see a goal save. It's incredible to watch how they've embraced the team, but also how quickly they learn hockey.
16 teams will be competing for Lord Stanley's Cup. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Cormac?
Well, now there's 3 left lanes closed on this crash, northbound I-15 at 114 South. Looks like delays are starting to stack up a little bit more, but it's still only slow right as you pass Bangor Highway on northbound I-15. They're trying to reorient that truck, so that cleanup's going to take a little bit longer than we think. And we also still, otherwise, it's regular delays that you're looking at, especially on Pioneer Crossing and Lehigh in that construction zone. You've got scattered delays both directions and a little bit of increased volume between Redwood Road and I-15. And we're also seeing a little bit of scattered delays on the 201 freeway in Magna. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Beautiful spring weather today with a little bit of a breeze. That wind is out of the south, so it'll kick our temperatures to 69. Mostly cloudy skies by afternoon. Overnight, 44, still cloudy, and a couple of showers. Tomorrow, 55. That high will likely be achieved in the morning hours. And then a cold front midday will drop our temperatures down to the 30s, with rain switching over to snow. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And we're already at 64 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City. Coming up on Midday, we're going to talk with Kelsey Dallas about the rumors that we've been hearing surrounding Supreme Court Justice Alito's retirement. That's coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
An emergency can happen any second. Here's a few seconds to think about where you'd go. When you need medical care fast, the closest emergency room is a smart thing to know. Common Spirit Health ERs are your direct path between feeling scared or uncomfortable and feeling better. Find emergency care in your neighborhood at mountain.commonspirit.org.
Many people worry they're not making the right investment choices inside their 401ks. Did you know that you might have a little-known opportunity to add some additional investment choices to your 401k and get the help and recommendations you've been looking for? This exciting feature is called a self-directed brokerage window. And the best part? The money still stays within your 401k. Learn how the trusted advisors at Capital Wealth may be able to expand your investment portfolio. To learn more, call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Improving your 401k might mean the difference of retiring a few years earlier. Let's find out. Schedule your no-cost 15-minute consultation with the Capital Wealth team today. Call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
We finally realized something.
We wanted more time for family, faith, and service.
And less time giving every Saturday to the house.
At Ovation Homes, active adults 55 plus can enjoy beautifully designed, low-maintenance homes in a welcoming community built for this season of life.
More peace, less upkeep.
And more time for what matters most.
Learn more about Ovation Homes' newest communities in West Point, Syracuse, and Layton. Visit ovationhomes.com. That's ovationhomes.com. Your best years start at Ovation Homes.
Let's be responsible.
Yeah, absolutely.
That counts.
Safe, secure, and built for comfort. With locations in Syracuse, West Point, and Layton. Downsize without compromise. With a home that truly fits your lifestyle. To learn more and see all the amenities, visit ovationhomesutah.com. That's ovationhomesutah.com. Your best years start at Ovation Homes.
KSL News Time, 1245. The 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
Utah's been ranked as the state with the best economic outlook in the nation for the 19th year in a row, despite concerns with the rising cost of things like housing and gas prices. I'm KSL News Radio's Adam Small.
Second, the man accused of arson in Big Cottonwood Canyon says his ancestors and spirits led him to the canyon, but he also admitted to using meth and alcohol. Third, traffic and weather together, Cormac.
Heavy delays on northbound I-15 in Draper due to a crash blocking 3 left lanes at 114th South. And in the construction zone in Clinton on 1800 North, lanes have reopened. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be the warm before the storm. I'm Matt Johnson.
Mostly cloudy, 64 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time now for KSL's top national stories.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. As the U.S. and Iran try to set a second round of peace talks, a Lebanese official is signaling that negotiations yesterday between Israel and Lebanon have made progress on a possible truce. With Israel and Iran-backed Hezbollah, ABC's Tom Sufi Burridge has more.
He's effectively saying that there might be a ceasefire in Lebanon. Now remember, it is critical that there is a ceasefire in Lebanon from Iran's point of view because they're saying there has to be a ceasefire in Lebanon for there to be a wider deal. Israel continues to launch strikes in Lebanon at high civilian cost. Israel saying they're going after Iran's main proxy, Hezbollah, in Lebanon.
Utah is the latest state hit by a measles outbreak. The state health department says more than 400 measles cases have been reported, with at least 49 hospitalizations. Health officials say the majority of those are unvaccinated. If you haven't finished your taxes, today is the deadline to file or ask the IRS for an extension. This is ABC News.
Time for the KSL In-Depth. Rumors are swirling that Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito is going to retire. The managing editor of SCOTUS blog, Kelsey Dallas, is joining me now live. Thank you, Kelsey, for being with me.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about these rumors. Why are there rumors that he's going to retire?
There's a couple of key reasons. One is that Justice Alito has a book coming out in October. October, as you might know, is when the Supreme Court each year kicks off its new term with the first set of arguments. And so it's a little odd for the book to be timed to release then if Alito, for example, was wanting to travel to promote the book. Other justices in recent years have instead released books in September, which gave them a little bit of their summer recess to do that book promotion. Perhaps the bigger reason, though, is that we are quickly approaching the midterm elections. And this is a big one for the Republican Party, where the Republicans might lose control of the Senate, which would then make it much harder to confirm a new justice to the Supreme Court that Trump picked. And so the thinking is that if Alito was going to retire sometime in the near future, it would make political sense to retire sooner rather than later, so that an appointment from President Trump would be able to get through the Senate confirmation process much easier.
Mm-hmm. Describe kind of the political process here and why it is such a big deal for both sides of the aisle.
Yes, this is actually quite common for the justices to consider who is in the White House and when the next election is, when they consider their retirement decisions. As President Trump himself referenced this morning, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg faced a lot of pushback from Democrats when she declined to retire when President Obama was in office. And she ended up dying during President Donald Trump's first term, which then meant that Trump had control over that opening rather than a Democratic president. And so there's certainly this political strategy that goes into what's meant to be a non-political branch. The justices, once they're on the court, are not meant to consider the interests of a specific political party. They are interpreting the Constitution and other statutes and sort of thinking about our legal documents and how to apply them. But there are these sort of political elements when it comes to wanting to secure their legacy and have a president of the same party as the president they were appointed by appoint their successor.
Yeah. Are there any signs behind the scenes that the justice is being pressured to do one thing or the other?
I think that the White House has been very careful not to apply pressure. Just this morning, President Trump was talking about how much he admires Justice Alito's work and that it's up to Alito to decide what's best for him. The New York Times reported this weekend that even members of Alito's inner circle, his closest friends, have not heard one way or the other what Alito is thinking. Many of us might reach age 76, which is how old Alito now is, and be happy to retire. But justices on the Supreme Court often work into their 80s because they just really enjoy the work that they're doing and take a lot of pride in the work of the court. And so it's not as easy of a decision as it might seem to those of us on the outside, because I believe the justices really want to stay engaged with the Supreme Court and don't walk away easily.
Right. Kelsey, I appreciate your help. Thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you.
That is Kelsey Dallas. She's the managing editor of SCOTUS blog. Let's get you up to date on the drive, traffic, and weather. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Let's check in now with Cormac Bone.
We do still have heavy delays northbound I-15 starting at Bangerter Highway and reaching up to 114 south due to a crash there, and they are blocking now just 2 left lanes. They've reopened that third left lane, but delays are still in place. And they are still there, so do be careful and give them the space as you get around them while they work on that crash. And again, the construction zone in Clinton on 1800 North, they have opened up those lanes, so you can get through there after they've figured out that emergency maintenance situation. And otherwise, roadways looking really good across the Wasatch Front. Normal construction delays in Lehigh on Pioneer Crossing and 2100 North. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. I've got 69 today, mostly cloudy, breezy. Tomorrow, cold front midday, 55 degrees will drop off to 30s by the afternoon. We've got rain switching over to snow. Mostly cloudy skies. On Friday, an AM snow shower, but cold. 47 is all we get for a high. 59, mostly sunny skies on Saturday. Sunday, partly cloudy, 69. Keeping a mixture of sun and clouds on Monday. You got 76 there. By Tuesday next week, still 70, partly cloudy. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Mostly cloudy, a bit blustery in downtown Salt Lake City and 64 degrees. The 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. Quick check of the markets. It's a mixed day for the markets. NASDAQ up by more than 1.25%. A complete update of your money news is coming up next.
Most financial advisors only manage your money. They refer you out for taxes, they refer you out for estate planning, they refer you out when things get complicated. Did they really vet that person? Or did they meet once, exchange business cards, and call it a partnership? A referral isn't accountability. It's a handoff. When your investments, taxes, and estate plan are built separately, gaps happen, and those can cost money. At Trajan, we didn't build a referral network. We built a family office for all. Wealth, tax, estate. One team delivering coordinated planning, once reserved for the ultra-wealthy. If you want real coordination and not just introductions, call Trajan Wealth today. Call Trajan today at 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900. 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Other services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877 Cars for Kids to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
KSL News Time 1254. A small but passionate movement is rebelling against smartphones. They say we're spending far too much time staring at them and we are missing out on real life. The attention activism movement of millennials and Gen Z members hopes to break free of the world's largest companies, accusing them of human fracking. Watching Utah's Money. Southern Utah may be one of the best places to start a small business. Wallet Hub says St. George has good business costs, access to resources, and a great overall environment. Washington City isn't far behind in the rankings, same with Cedar City. Amazon Prime Video is launching a new streaming service bundle. It includes Apple TV, Peacock Premium Plus for just $20 a month. That's about a $10 discount. Deadline reports it comes after a similar package was released last year. Uber is betting on robo-taxis. The rideshare company has committed more than $10 billion to buying thousands of the self-driving cars and taking stakes in their developers. The Financial Times reports they are set to launch in at least 28 cities in 2028. A reality TV star is now helping raise awareness about the second leading cause of death in the U.S.
Dr. Sandra Lee, the star of the hit reality series Dr. Pimple Popper.
This is a cyst. It definitely is a cyst. I try not to squeeze it too much.
Now revealing she suffered a stroke last fall while filming her show. Lee tells People magazine, "I had what I thought was a hot flash. I got super sweaty and I didn't feel like myself." She says shortly after symptoms appeared, she knew something was wrong with her left side. "I would hold my hand out and it would just slowly collapse. I noticed that I had a tough time articulating and just enunciating."
That was ABC's Hannah Battah.
Sign up for KSL Text Alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply.
Everything to my back is dark.
High in the alpine wilderness.
Really ugly clouds coming over from the north.
A place
the ridgeline is imposing, the escarpments, the drops.
where survival,
It's dark now. I have nothing.
is never certain.
This is not good.
My name's Dave Cawley, and I'm the host of a podcast called Uinta Triangle. It's about the disappearance of an Australian hiker named Eric.
Our conclusion and that of the sheriff is that the mountains have decided to keep him.
Come retrace Eric's footprints with me.
You have done this walk too, but this is your backyard.
Did he really make a wrong turn, or did he decide that he was done?
He is not the first or last person to vanish in this remote region.
It was haunting to see the photos. I mean, really.
Find and follow the podcast series Uinta Triangle. That's Uinta, spelled U-I-N-T-A, Triangle, wherever you get your podcasts. All episodes out now.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU. Love where you bank. Cormac?
Well, we got a sort of good news, bad news situation here, Maria. Northbound I-15 still slow from about Bangor Highway all the way up to 114 South. That's the bad news. But the good news is they are no longer blocking those left lanes. It looks like they've moved them over to the right shoulder, if not cleared off the road. So the delays there should hopefully clear out soon. But it is still slow right now from about Bangor Highway up to 114 South on northbound I-15. Otherwise, it's regular delays waiting for you. In Lehigh, the construction delays scattered in both directions from Redwood Road over to I-15. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Enjoy the warm temperatures today. A big change coming tomorrow. Today's high 69, a very slight chance of showers. Tomorrow, though, that chance of showers increases to 90%, and the high temperature dropping down into the 50s, and that means we could also see some snow tomorrow as well. 64 degrees downtown.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Salt Lake City leaders now looking at improving public safety and addressing homelessness with an expansion to overnight camping bans.
There is a lot of movement, unoften enough because of complaints from neighbors or issues that the health department highlights that require police department and the health department to ask them to move.
The time is 1 o'clock on Wednesday, April 15th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, just how big of an issue does this ordinance proposal hope to address? We'll break it down with the City Council Chair. Also this hour,
70% of the skills in the average job will have changed by 2030. So our jobs are changing on us even if we aren't changing jobs.
AI this and AI that. How exactly is artificial intelligence reshaping the workplace and the existing workforce? We're going to have an in-depth look at the trends coming up at 1:30. But first, our top stories. Utah has been ranked as the state with the best economic outlook in the nation for the 19th year in a row. That's according to a yearly report from the American Legislative Exchange Council. This in spite of concerns around rising prices and criticism from state Democrats who say the report rewards Utah for cutting corporate taxes and having a low minimum wage. Utah Senate President Adams responded to those concerns today, saying,
"We have the fastest growing household income in the country. And that equates exactly to being able to buy things that are needed for families."
Adams and other Republican leaders also pointed to their efforts to lower income taxes as well as housing and child care costs. Our top national story from ABC News. U.S. Central Command says the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz has now been fully implemented, but President Trump is signaling that the blockade won't last long based on posts that he's been making on social media. Here's ABC's Karen Travers with more.
The president in a social media post said, quote, "China is very happy that I am permanently opening the Strait of Hormuz." Now, it's not clear what the president means there by permanently opening, because, of course, there is that blockade right now by the U.S. Navy, which the president says is been brilliant and it's holding 100%. We heard that update yesterday from CENTCOM that said that the U.S. Navy has completely halted economic trade going into and out of Iran by sea. So they feel very optimistic that this is working right now.
Meantime, Iran says that the U.S. blockade is a prelude to a ceasefire violation. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is down by 65 points, sitting at 48,470. S&P up by 51 points. The NASDAQ, though, it's up by a full 1.25%, up 321 points. Traffic and weather is brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Good afternoon, Ricky.
Good afternoon, Maria. We do have leftover delays on northbound I-15 in Draper due to an earlier crash at 114th South. Traffic backed up to Bangerter Highway. Create your floral sanctuary with Olson's Greenhouse. Locally grown premium quality flowers. The perfect complement to any space. Cheerful flowers for porches, patios, containers, and beds. Visit Olson's Instagram or OGG.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
It's a blustery day with a 10% chance of showers and a high of 69. Tomorrow, the temperature dropping big time down to 55 for a high. 90% chance of a rain-snow mix, and then a 50% chance of showers on Friday. 64 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline.
So I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula, cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Everything to my back is dark.
High in the alpine wilderness,
The ridgeline is imposing the escarpments, the drops.
a place where survival
It's dark now. I have nothing.
is never certain. In 2011, an Australian hiker vanished.
Did he really make a wrong turn, or did he decide that he was done?
You have done this walk too, but this is your backyard.
The mountains have decided to keep him.
Find and follow the podcast series Uinta Triangle wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks for tuning in to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Salt Lake City leaders considering an expansion to their existing camping ban within the city in the hopes of addressing homelessness and public safety. Camping in public parks and streets is already illegal within the city, but the city council is reviewing a potential new ordinance that would extend the ban to other properties like sidewalks and park strips. Advocates voicing concern with the proposal, saying the city doesn't have resources to do this and that it would only lead to further criminalization of the city's homeless population. So how big of an issue is this, and how many people would this proposed ordinance affect? I am joined by City Council Chair Alejandro Puy, who represents District 2. Now, Council Chair Puy, just how big of a problem is inner-city camping within city limits?
It certainly is a big problem for all major cities in the country, right? The resources are usually in major cities, clinics and services and workforce services and the Social Security Administration and many times the driver's license access and services of all kinds are hosted in major cities. So there is a lot of times we see camping happening in our parks, sometimes on underpasses, sometimes even in sidewalks.
It seems like the homeless camps have moved from one spot to another. Where are some of the spots that you're seeing the biggest problems right now?
Certainly, there is. For those that are experiencing homelessness, just put yourself on. If all of us put ourselves in their shoes, they don't have a safe place to go every night to go to sleep. Many times they are sleeping in their own cars. Many times they are sleeping on RVs. Many times they're just sleeping in a tent or any place that gives them some shelter. So often enough, we see the Jordan River Parkway being one of those places that people feel safe to go to sleep. But we also see Fairmont Park and some places across the city with homeless encampments that shelter people. So there is a lot of movement, and often enough because of complaints from neighbors or issues that the health department highlights that require our police department and the health department to ask them to move.
Mm-hmm. When you are considering something like a camping ban, what are some of the things that you have to think of? I mean, how do you balance what is good for the community and what is good for this population?
Yes, and this is one of the challenges for municipalities like us. We are we're put in a place where it's not fair. To be completely sincere with you, municipalities shouldn't be the ones solving the healthcare crisis that we see in our streets, the mental health, the substance abuse, and the lack of resources for those that need it. So we are placed we're put in a very hard spot where neighbors are struggling sometimes going to their own parks because they don't feel safe or they see things that you and I may struggle seeing. But at the same time, we need to advocate for those that don't have a place to go and that the system has failed them. And many times, some bad choices have been made. Many times they are being subjugated by drugs or mental health issues. And it is not the place of municipalities, nor we have the resources to know what to do with this with these neighbors. So this ordinance in discussion right now is our attempt to find better balance and to give our police department better tools. But the truth is that the state, should do more to help us in this crisis, because it is not fair for those that are experiencing homelessness, but it's also not fair for our neighbors. So it really is a tough spot.
Yeah. Describe for me the change in the ordinance. As I understand it, there's already a ban on camping during the daytime, and this would kind of extend that to the nighttime hours. Is that correct? And where would be the area that it would ban these things?
I mean, it will ban it really across the city. It creates a better definition of what camping means. It highlights the times where people shouldn't be camping in public spaces. And it includes also, it clarifies what, the loophole, what some people call as a loophole about vehicles, those that are living in vehicles. This is why, it's giving our police department some tools to balance this issue. And as you probably saw in the debate yesterday in our city council, it is really not the tool that we wish we had, because it doesn't really solve the problem of homelessness. It doesn't. The experts say that this doesn't solve the problem. It just mitigates it and pushes it away. But the problem of those experiencing homelessness really needs to be addressed at a state level, and we hope our partners at the state really take it more seriously than they have. And I know that they have done incredible work already, but there is more to do.
Any idea how many folks are living in a homeless camp?
Well, every year there is a count of homelessness, of those that are experiencing homelessness, and there is thousands of people that are living in our streets every year. A couple of years ago, there was 3,000 or 4,000 people that were counted in the point in time count. So it really, the issue of homelessness, some people think this is a problem of Salt Lake City. And if you see who is in our streets, you will realize that there are people from all over the state. There are many kids from every high school. There is adults from every jurisdiction in the state and across the country. Some people that might be our family members. Some people that are veterans are in our streets. So this is not a problem of Salt Lake City. This is a problem of our state. It's a problem of our country. And we really need to really address this problem together and stop pointing fingers about who's to blame when this is a humanitarian crisis that our country is experiencing.
Alejandro Puy is a Salt Lake City Council member representing District 2. A public hearing on the item is tentatively scheduled for May 5th. The final vote could be held as early as May 19th. In just 60 seconds, we'll get an update on a person police say set several little fires in and around Big Cottonwood Canyon. We'll be right back.
Hey, did you hear about that multi-billion-dollar Roundup settlement?
Yeah, it impacts people who are exposed to weed killers at work or at home, even if you just used it in your own yard. Lawsuits claim it causes non-Hodgkin lymphoma, a blood cancer.
But we're not sick, so that doesn't affect us.
But it does. This cancer can take 10 to 15 years to show up.
That's a long time after exposure.
It is, and that's why the settlement is paying claims for up to 21 years. If you get sick, even years from now, you could get $6,000 to $165,000 or more as part of this settlement.
So what's the catch?
If you stay in, you give up the right to sue them later.
Learn more at weedkillerclass.com or call 1-888-403-8201. If you or a loved one has or had non-Hodgkin lymphoma, even if they've passed, you must register for benefits. That's weedkillerclass.com. 1-888-403-8201. Paid for by the Roundup Settlement.
We are getting new details today on the man accused of setting multiple fires in Big Cottonwood Canyon. You first heard the news of several fires yesterday on Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News. Today, police say meth and alcohol were involved, and the man accused of starting the fires was told to start the fires. Joining me live, KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera. He's been going through the arrest documents that KSL obtained. And Eric, what are we learning?
Yeah, Maria, you said it right. This all really started unfolding yesterday afternoon. That's when we all found out about it. There were very few details then, obviously, as it was active. And that's when we found out, once again, deputies were called up to Big Cottonwood Canyon after reports of fires in the area. And according to that probable cause statement that we obtained, deputies say 43-year-old Garrett J. Boyd claimed he had been using meth and alcohol and said ancestors and spirits led him into Big Cottonwood Canyon to start these fires and called the land sacred.
Okay, so what exactly are investigators saying that he did up there?
Right. They say they believe he intentionally started multiple fires. Deputies actually saw him light at least one, they say in the affidavit, while others were already burning nearby. So this wasn't just a single incident. As you said, investigators say there were multiple ignition points, which is part of why this raised concern so quickly.
Yeah, it was a nice day. A lot of people could have been up there. I mean, this is a pretty heavily used area.
Absolutely, it is. For example, I talked to a friend of mine who's a competition bike racer, dirt bike racer. He was talking to me about how, it's not as remote in the way that people might think, right? It's heavily used, hikers, bikers, people heading up to resorts, especially, like you said, with this transitioning warmer weather. So even a small fire up there can become a serious issue, not just for the land, but for the people who are actively in the canyon.
So do we have any idea how bad this could have been?
Yeah, so right now investigators say the fires caused thousands in damage, is how they're putting it. But luckily it kind of stayed within the area that they were in, and it didn't spread further after they got there. When you look at terrain up there, steep areas, limited access in and out, it doesn't take much for a fire to become more dangerous, especially if it starts moving quickly or cuts off access points. It's part of why cases like this are taken so seriously.
Yeah, it could have been super dangerous for him as well. Thank you, Eric.
Absolutely.
KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera joining me in the studio. Utah is getting high marks again for its economic outlook, a reaction from state leaders and how they are responding to critiques of the report that's coming up after the break. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. What's happening, Ricky?
We have delays that have cleared out northbound I-15 through Draper. In fact, good speeds on all the Valley freeways at this time. Downtown crews are wrapping up a crash at 500 South, 100 West. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Celebrate National Serger Month with super deals on all sewing machines and sergers at Dave's Bernina in St. George and Provo.
0% interest for 24 months on purchases over $1,000.
Purchase a new Bernina L890, L860, or L850 model
and receive special pricing plus an option for a free or discounted Bernina Serger Studio. The world-famous Bernina 990 is on sale and includes thousands of dollars worth of free add-ons. Take advantage of 20% off Bernina Serger accessories.
Amazing bargains on previously owned machines while they last that come with warranties.
Dave's Bernina has made a special purchase of previously owned Bernina 330s for only $499 and a limited supply of event machines, new out-of-the-box Bernina 770 and 790 Pro machines with full warranty.
Dave's Bernina, 691 East St. George Boulevard and 2017 North 550 West in Provo. Dave'sBernina.com.
I'm Congressman Mike Kennedy. For years, Utah families have paid too much for health care, groceries, and everyday essentials. I'm fighting for health care reform that puts patients first and lowers costs. I'm also working to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington because your tax dollars should be spent wisely. Fiscal responsibility means lower costs and a government that works for you. I'm Mike Kennedy, and I'll keep fighting for Utah families. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Get your yard ready with Rich Lawn. Spring is here, and it's time to bring your lawn back to life. Start with Rich Lawn Turf Food, an organic-based fertilizer that feeds your soil and keeps your grass greener longer. Looking for professional-grade results? Organic 100 delivers the nutrients your lawn needs to thrive. And for the finishing touches, Rich Lawn has you covered with Iron Rich for yellowing lawns, Easy Green Grass Seed, and Grow Rich Garden Fertilizer. Put in the work, trust Rich Lawn, and enjoy a yard you'll be proud of. Available at Home Depot and independent garden centers.
We want to talk about SOTA Diet and Nutrition. SOTA stands for state of the art. And Andy and I both let go of massive amounts of weight. You more than me.
70 pounds in 5 months.
And I did 37 pounds in 3 months. And what worked for me was so many things. Talking to a nutritionist every week and having her tell me what to eat. I can do as I'm told, but I have no clue where to begin.
And I needed the help too. It's just food. There's no pills, no injections. So you learn how to both let go of the weight and then how to keep it off.
So SOTA Diet and Nutrition is a great place to start. But if you started with pills or medications and you find yourself starting to gain some weight back, SOTA Diet and Nutrition is a great way to learn how to have a new relationship with food to go into the future.
You can talk with a nutritionist by calling 866-800-SOTA, S-O-T-A, or you can go to their website, sotadietandnutrition.com.
Join now and your partner joins for free. 2 people, real accountability for the price of 1.
Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
Let me ask you a question. You have a best friend? How big would it shock you if somebody told you that your best friend just killed somebody?
911, what's your emergency? There's someone on the other line said they kidnapped my son, and they're demanding $500,000.
I've asked myself so many times, what in the world happened?
Ransom is available now. Listen at ransompodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. The U.S. Navy continues its blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, all while a fury of diplomacy takes place at the same time. News Nation's Robert Sherman explains.
You have diplomacy that's going in all different directions here to advance forward these negotiations with Iran. So starting with what we've learned from a senior Israeli official, that any moment now, the Israeli Security Cabinet is expected to convene. And reportedly atop the docket of discussion, Lebanon and the prospects of a ceasefire taking place there. Of course, you've heard Iran has married these two theaters, what's happening in Lebanon and what's happening in the Gulf, as one. Up to this point, Israel and the United States have not viewed it that way, but there have been those negotiations taking place in Washington this week between the Lebanese and the Days. They've been given credit, largely for helping bring Iran to the negotiating table. But the president, in an interview today, spoke about a letter that he sent to President Xi Jinping about arming Iran. Here's that exchange.
Responded to a letter that I wrote because I had heard that China is giving weapons to, you're seeing it all over the place, to Iran, that China is giving weapons. Did he say he's giving them? Yeah, and I wrote him a letter asking him not to do that. And he wrote me a letter saying that essentially he's not doing that.
China has a big stake in the game here with over 30% of their oil imports going through the Strait of Hormuz. And we know that their foreign ministry spoke with Iran's foreign minister today. So China, a big player in all of this, making their presence felt here in the Middle East this week.
China is also an ally of Iran. Turning back to local news, Utah has come in with the best economic outlook in the country for the 19th year in a row. The ranking coming even as Utahns worry about the ever-growing cost of living. The yearly report, Rich States, Poor States, comes from the American Legislative Exchange Council. According to the report, even with the higher cost of living here, our lower tax rate played a major role in Utah getting the top spot.
This year, one of the things that we know works and helps keep Utah's economy going and flowing and creating those opportunities for our citizens is a low tax rate. President Adams said it over the last 6 years, we've cut taxes on the income tax. It almost didn't happen this year because we didn't have the revenue that we've seen over the last 5 or 6 years this year. But what did we do? We stepped in and we evaluated every dollar spent in the state of Utah. And we were actually able to go in, reduce the inefficiencies, take and reallocate funds to areas where it was more efficient and freed up additional money to where we could have a tax cut this year. It was not easy, but it was important to us.
Speaker Mike Schultz spoke about the ranking at a conference this morning. He says Utah's focus on education, including a boost in spending for education, also helped the state reach number one.
We know that businesses and people won't want to move to the state of Utah. We don't have a good education system. We need to focus on our kids. Kids are our number one asset. Over the last 10 years, we have increased education spending by more than double, 112%, okay? At the same time, we've reduced income taxes over 6 years by 11%. Ronald Reagan had it best. Reaganomics works. And we're very proud to live that. And we're not done yet, okay? This year, we also created a tax reduction account where we carve off additional revenue coming into the state, put it into the income or into the tax reduction account so we can have future tax cuts here in the state of Utah. President Adams and I have a goal. We want to get out of the 4% income tax range and get into the 3% income tax range. We know if we're able to do that, we'll be able to stay and keep Utah's economy flowing, and most importantly, keep opportunities for our families, for our kids and our grandkids.
Outgoing U.S. Representative Burgess Owens also spoke about the ranking, saying it comes down to Utah leaders focusing on kids and families.
We do so many things right because our kids are the bottom line. We collaborate, we think outside the box, we're very innovative. We're the one culture that as a culture looks for to send our kids someplace around the world that nobody wants to visit. We know that when they leave, we're going to celebrate and they come back and we're a lot more mature. The idea of empathy, the idea of dealing with risk and taking chances, all part of who they are. And so we have a culture so unique and something I'm so excited about. So I'm not surprised, and we should not be surprised. We continue this 19th year, it'll be 20 next year, and we're going to keep that going.
Democrats have pushed back on this ranking in the past, saying it's a celebration of low minimum wage and tax cuts for corporations. Some have said it doesn't take into account the challenges that real Utah families face. Senate President Stuart Adams addressed those concerns.
When we talk about, what it's done for the average person, and I need to be a little careful here because I've got really great friends in West Virginia, that ranking that came out that I talked about earlier, where we were in the $52,000, $53,000 median household income in the 1970s, West Virginia was tied with us, pretty much the same. West Virginia today went from 55 to 52. We went from 55 to 93. If you don't believe personal household income is important, then you just don't know what you're talking about. And when we have a 90, it's pretty amazing. We have the fastest growing household income in the country. And that equates exactly to being able to buy things that are needed for families. So I think that again, and I'll say one more time, and Jonathan mentioned it a little ago, Alec and Rich States, Poor States was talking about Utah before it was cool, but the principles that they put forth have actually produced a great economy. And you look at those principles and they'll continue to produce it. So I think that the proof is in what's happened. And I think you've seen that the economic outlook actually produced some great things.
Republican leaders also pointed to recent efforts to lower housing, gas, and child care costs. You can view the full report and see how other states rank at kslnewsradio.com. It's 1:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. As artificial intelligence becomes more integrated with the workforce, how is it affecting our current jobs? We're going to do a deep dive with the jobs expert who says even if you aren't changing jobs, your job is changing. You might see more people wearing purple today. We'll tell you why. And KSL traffic, Ricky.
New trouble in traffic northbound I-15 in South Salt Lake. Maria?
Get ready for a big change in the weather. Temperatures dropping. KSL's top local stories in 1 minute.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. A ceasefire remains in effect for the U.S. and Iran. The Strait of Hormuz remains at the center of the ongoing war, with the U.S. naval blockade on ships bound for Iranian ships' ports intact. ABC's Rachel Scott says efforts on another round of talks before the current ceasefire ends remain murky.
As of this moment, there is no extension. There could be future talks that could be happening as early as this weekend, trying to get Iran and the United States to come closer to a deal. And there's that big question whether or not the president would actually extend the ceasefire if he feels like these talks are productive and they are getting closer to actually making a deal. But right now, that's pretty open-ended.
A jury in Manhattan federal court finding Live Nation illegally monopolized the market for tickets using pressure and leverage. The judge will decide how Live Nation should pay. The jury determined Ticketmaster overcharged consumers by $1.72 per ticket. The company could be made to pay that back plus damages. And today is tax days. You have until midnight to file. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story today is tax day, and across the country, people are scrambling to make sure Uncle Sam is getting his dues. One Salt Lake resident told KSL he filed later than normal this year because of the changing tax code.
New tax laws, just trying to coordinate if it was going to be correct with some of the changes and getting it verified with TurboTax.
Another resident says he generally files late because that's when his calendar reminds him to, but multiple people said they tend to file as soon as they're able to do so they don't have to worry about it later on. Other local stories KSL is following. Strokes are becoming more common among younger people because they are taking part in unhealthy habits. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
Stroke risk isn't the first thing a young person might ask their doctor about, but research from a University of Utah doctor suggests it should be. Dr. Aaron Shoskes says high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, and obesity are all more common in young people, and all of those carry a risk of stroke. He says the best thing to do to lower risk is to aim for 30 minutes of exercise a day, get good sleep, and maintain a healthy weight.
In the Neurology Journal podcast, he says young adults often don't have primary care doctors, and more needs to be done to warn them through policy changes, social media, and even workplace health challenges. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow down by 56 points, sitting at 48,479. S&P up by 55 points, and the NASDAQ up by 347 points. That's 1.5%. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU. Love where you bank. What's happening, Ricky?
A new accident in South Salt Lake on northbound I-15 approaching 3300 South. They have been able to get moved out of traffic to the shoulder, and the delays are starting to ease. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today is the warm before the storm. We're going to see a high today of 69 degrees, dropping down into the 50s for tomorrow's high. 90% chance of showers tomorrow, including some snowflakes. Friday, still a 50% chance of rain. Right now, 65 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Salt Lake City, this is your final boarding call, extended by popular demand. Titanic, the exhibition, is sailing away soon. Don't miss your last chance to experience the heartbreaking and heroic stories of her passengers and crew. See the incredible artifacts before the doors close forever on April 19th at the shops at Southtown and Sandy. Get your tickets before they're gone at thetitanicexhibition.com. That's thetitanicexhibition.com.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
Well, what other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Did you know 96% of Americans lose an average of $111,000 in Social Security income? And it's because they claim their benefits at the wrong time. Don't lose $111,000 in Social Security income that's rightfully yours. Learn how you could wring every nickel out of your benefits on Retirement Solutions Radio this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL, News Radio 1027.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Artificial intelligence is changing the way we think about our jobs and in some ways making us a tad bit nervous about the technological revolution. Joining me to talk about the changes being created by AI is Anish Raman, who is co-author of Open Work and Chief Economic Opportunity Officer at LinkedIn. And Anish, how is AI reshaping the workplace?
It's reshaping the workplace. You know, there's a lot of fear out there, anxiety, uncertainty. I get it, because there are all these headlines that are predicting maybe the end of work as we know it for humans. The most important thing for everyone to get is work is changing, not ending. Work is changing, not ending. It is going to change for all of us, whether you are CEO at a company or the newest hire, and it's going to change in some big ways. In the book, we talk about how 70% of the skills in the average job will have changed by 2030. So our jobs are changing on us even if we aren't changing jobs. Some of that is about the tools. You got to use the tools. Take something you don't like to do and use it to help you do that work or to learn something new or create something new. But some of it is going to be work shifting to index more around our unique capabilities as humans. Those soft skills that we said didn't really matter that much or were nice to have, not must have, in the last era of work, they are about to be our survival skills, our competitive edge. And in the book, we go through what they are and how to hone them.
So let's talk a little bit about those. What are those skills? How do people best prepare for this kind of evolution?
Yeah, you know, we're talking about AI so much every day, and AI can do a lot, but so can we. So can humans. The human brain is the most incredible object to me in the known universe, and it has been around far longer than any machine or any latest technology. In the book, we sort of call them the 5 C's, the capabilities that sit at the intersection of our IQ and EQ. Creativity, curiosity, courage, compassion, communication. And then we talk about these habits like resilience and adaptability. And all of that is about us becoming more entrepreneurial at work. Entrepreneurial doesn't mean you got to go start a business. It just means every day or every week you're pushing something new into your job. You're trying something new. You're testing something new. You're suggesting something new. Most important, though, all those 5 C's, we can all get better at them. They are skills. They're not talents. I know creativity, for example. We think some people are creative, some people aren't. No. What we know of neuroscience and neuroplasticity is that all of us can get better at each of those. And all it takes are small steps each day. It's not some big leap you do once. It's every day. Be courageous. Raise your hand for a stretch assignment. Be compassionate. Mentor a new hire. You could do it in your day-to-day, and we all got to do it in our day-to-day because that's where work is going.
Yeah, change is hard for people. How do people embrace this rather than push back against it?
First, acknowledge for yourself that change is hard. We talk about in the book the biology of being human. Our brain is wired to fear change, and it is not wired to get exponential change. It's not wired to get big change. This is a moment of big change. So it is completely understandable if you're feeling afraid, especially if you're reading these headlines that are stressing you out. It's also unhelpful, though, if it's holding you back, if it's causing you to hunker down. You got to push past that. Take those small steps, use these tools, use them for stuff you don't like to do, exercise plan or meal plan at home, some project at work you don't like to do, summarizing. I know you get press releases probably every day. Use them to summarize those and tell you what the key points are so you don't have to do that work. And then start moving your job more and more around the stuff you're doing that's new with these tools, learning something new, creating something new, and the stuff that you're doing that's uniquely about you as a human. So push past that fear. It is not going to help you right now, even though it makes sense that you're feeling it.
College graduates are especially nervous about these changes because they're well aware of the changes. Is your advice to them different than it would be to other employees?
No, I mean, it starts with that same premise. Push past that fear. Start with the strengths you've got. If you're coming out of college right now, you've got two big strengths that employers are looking for. First, you know these tools. These tools have been around the whole time you've been at college. You've probably used them outside the classroom, depending on where you go to school, potentially in the classroom. That basic AI fluency, that's a big deal that employers are looking for. And then second, if you're coming into the workforce today, you're going to have twice as many jobs as the previous generation. That's what our data is showing us. And you probably know that. You're coming in as a generation that knows about the side hustle, the gig economy, the creator economy. Few people coming out of college think they're going to get one job at one place and then retire. That's an entrepreneurialism. That's got resiliency, adaptability, a creativity to look at what hasn't been for yourself or your career and try and push yourself towards it. That's another thing employers are looking for right now. So you've got those strengths, and then use those 5 C's. If you're finding it really hard to get that one job that you think you're supposed to get, be curious about other jobs around that or other sectors around the one you're going after where there are openings and how you can make a pitch to go in there. Be creative about how you're building your network. Be courageous. Push yourself to try something new, to meet someone new, to be out there. All of that is going to grow as you build your career into real strengths. And so that's what I tell everyone coming out of school right now. I know it's tough, but lean into the opportunities of the moment and don't forget you start with strengths.
Explain where people can get more information on your book.
Yeah, linkedin.com/open to work, all the places you can get the book. And then, one thing we have today that we didn't have as humans at work when other big disruptions hit is LinkedIn. It's a place anyone from anywhere can come and learn from other people, lean on other people. We are in it together. So get on LinkedIn. Follow people who you think are saying interesting things that you can learn from, and really go put all the skills that you've used across your career on your profile. It'll help you push beyond job titles is the only way that you see yourself.
Anish Raman is the co-author of Open to Work and Chief Economic Opportunity Officer at LinkedIn. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
My friend Joey means well.
Always remember that the early bird gathers no moss.
But he gets a little confused.
You can't make a silk purse out of a wooden nickel.
Like Joey, many of us can be confused when it comes time to plan for retirement. When to take Social Security, how to use that 401k, what about the stock market, taxes, and Medicare? Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management can help to simplify retirement planning. His goal is to have you walk into retirement with confidence, not worry, and to address the number one concern among retirees today, the fear of running out of money. Call Galileo Wealth today for a no-cost, no-obligation meeting to talk about the details of your retirement. 385-247-7000. It's 385-247-7000 or online, GalileoWealth.com. And remember,
one man's trash is thicker than water. Of course, water's not thick at all. It's watery.
Lifestyle changes are causing more young people to suffer from strokes. Stroke has traditionally been a concern for adults over age 65, but over the past 10 years, strokes in adults under that age has risen by nearly 16%. University of Utah neurologist Dr. Aaron Shoskes led the research. He says there are a number of factors leading to the higher risk.
If readers of the article take one thing away from our study, it's that traditional vascular risk factors like hypertension, obesity, diabetes are exceedingly common in young adults with ischemic stroke. And over the last decade, its incidence is only continuing to rise. Polymorbidity, which we called having 3 or more vascular risk factors, is rising in nearly every single age, sex, and race ethnic group within our study. But there are definite populations that were at disproportionate risk, including Black patients and men. I think that the findings of our study suggest that we can't really think of stroke as just a disease of older adults anymore. Prior research has showed that in the United States, young adults are really the only segment of ischemic stroke patients where the incidence is increasing. We've made some significant headway in stroke prevention in middle-aged and in older patients, but incidence in young patients of stroke continues to rise. And so our findings suggest that a rise in these traditional vascular risk factors and the burden of these traditional vascular risk factors over the past decade is likely contributing and accounting for a large part of this increase. And I think that this suggests that not just neurologists, but other physicians and primary care physicians as a whole need to be very mindful of these traditional vascular risk factors in order to screen and really aggressively manage for them in a younger population than we'd otherwise be thinking about.
In the Neurology Journal podcast, Dr. Shoskes says that while these findings are concerning, they're not necessarily surprising.
I think that our findings are very concerning, but they're unfortunately not surprising. And they're consistent with prior research that has been done, demonstrating significant healthcare disparities affecting, in particular, Black patients. In our studies, even that youngest group of 18 to 35-year-old patients who we typically think of as being a healthy, fairly healthy group, only 1 in 3 Black stroke patients who were 18 to 35 years old had no traditional vascular risk factors. And 1 in 5 were polymorbid, had 3 or more vascular risk factors. That was double the incidence of polymorbidity that we saw in the white group or in the Hispanic group. Now, there's likely multiple things that are contributing to this, including we know that there are genetic components, but I think that a larger role is in the environmental and social factors. There's been very interesting research that show that chronic stress and exposure to perceived racial or sex-based discrimination is associated with subsequent diagnosis of hypertension. And these are biases that exist or that people notice from a very early age, and people are discriminated against from an early age. And so I think that addressing these disparities that we identified in our study is not only going to require better medical care on our part and on the part from primary care physicians, but also policy changes to improve some of these social determinants of health, including housing, education, but also discrimination at the societal level.
Shoskes says more should be done to warn young people about the risks of stroke and encourage them to get regular checkups. Today's Purple Up Day, a chance to wear purple in support of military children. More on that coming up after the break. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Ricky?
Crash-free on all the Valley freeways, and I-15 looks good in both directions between Ogden and Provo. But be aware of a road closure due to emergency maintenance in Davis County. This is both directions of 1800 north between about 1500 and 2000 west. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
You know, have you ever noticed when you want to lose weight, you have all sorts of excuses, like you don't have time to exercise for an hour a day, or you've just done that before and gained the weight right back, and so you're just not excited about it. I've been telling you for the past couple of years about Salt Lake City Fat Loss. This is a great program. It's helped me lose more than 40 pounds, but it is doctor developed. So they help you keep this weight off. They're actually training you to eat better so you can keep the weight off. It's all natural. It's a 60-day program, no injections or medications. You just eat regular food that you buy from the grocery store. It also costs a lot less than other programs because you don't have to pay for breakfast bars or meals or even for a nutritionist. Plus, they have a great app. It keeps you accountable. It allows you to ask questions at any time, and really gives you the resources to keep the weight off. I lost more than 40 pounds. Many of their clients lose up to a pound per day. Learn more at slcfatloss.com. See if it's good for you. That's slcfatloss.com, slcfatloss.com.
Looking for something fun to win this week? Head to ksl.com/win and enter now. We're giving you the chance to score tickets to the Disney Worlds Collide concert tour, or cheer on Real Salt Lake with tickets to a variety of games this season. It's quick, easy, and free to enter. So don't miss out. Visit ksl.com/win today. ksl.com/win and see what you could be winning this week. Good luck.
Every day here in Utah, people turn to KSL News Radio for one simple reason: trust. Trust for our reporters, hosts, our coverage, and trust in the businesses heard right here. I've met so many of our listeners over the years, and they'll tell you KSL is part of their daily routine, in the car, at work, at home. And when they hear your business here, it carries the weight of that trust. It isn't just another ad. It's a recommendation coming from a reliable source. When you advertise on KSL News Radio, you reach a loyal, highly engaged audience who listens intentionally. They show up for breaking news, accurate information, and meaningful conversations. And because of that connection, they respond. And when you pair our on-air credibility with digital tools like display advertising, social media, streaming audio, search, geo-targeting, and retargeting, you get a full funnel strategy that works and reaches the right people at the right time. Get marketing that truly moves the needle. Partner with the voice Utah trusts. KSL. Learn more at kslnewsradio.com/advertise.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry is the jewelry we never wear. It sits tucked away in a drawer. A ring from a grandmother, a pendant from years gone by. Pieces filled with stories, but not part of your everyday life. Duke's Jewelers believes those pieces deserve more. For over 75 years, Duke's Jewelers has helped families reimagine heirloom jewelry, transforming what once was into something you'll love wearing today and pass down tomorrow. Whether it's resetting a stone, redesigning a ring, or creating something entirely new, Duke's Jewelers will guide you through every step, right there in the store. And if you have jewelry that no longer fits your story, Duke's Jewelers also buys gold, offering a simple, transparent way to turn it into something meaningful again. Bring in what you have and create something you'll never want to take off. Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville, where your story continues.
Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a gripping new 9-part investigative podcast about a serial killer you've probably never heard of, Warren Forrest, a sadistic predator who prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He hid behind the deeds of Ted Bundy, and he's only been convicted of 2 murders, but is suspected of many more. Since the release of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a witness identified in the podcast could lead investigators to the remains of Jamie Grissom.
He ran into the woods. He said he stumbled. As he fell down, he looks up and sees the body of a young woman.
And now the FBI is testing forensic evidence that had been collecting dust for decades. This cold case is now red hot. Binge the entire season of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley right now, wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the latest breaking news.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Today is Purple Up Day, a moment to recognize and celebrate the strength of kids who have close military family members and loved ones. Now, there are children who experience specific challenges. They experience constant change and develop incredible resilience as part of their everyday lives. Jenny Taylor is the wife of fallen Utah Army National Guard member Major Brent Taylor, who was killed in action in Afghanistan in 2018. As a mother of 7, she says it's important to know and to recognize the stress that these kids face.
Watching out for these kiddos and the stresses they might be under. You know, right now particularly, we have kids along the Wasatch Front whose parents are in harm's way. We have a lot of other kids whose parents might not be in harm's way, but they work in a uniform. And at any given moment, they might be called upon to go into harm's way. Both of those create really stressful environments for a child. We know that kids of all ages thrive on routine and predictability. And so just that uncertainty in the air, is mom or dad okay? Is mom or dad safe? Maybe mom or dad is home, but will they still be home next week, next month? We don't know. And so that can create some anxieties that then trickle over into their behavior, trickle over into their academic performance, trickle over into the classroom. So that kind of sets the stage for what these kids experience. But also then you can throw in some politics. Maybe some kids at school have parents who politically view military one way, and some kids have parents who politically view it a different way. Kids are really good mimickers, and they might hear and repeat things they've heard at home or on a newscast or something. So then sometimes you've almost politicized these little kiddos who all they're trying to do is love their mom or dad or brother or sister in the military. And then to make it even a little more complicated, you've got the unknown or unfamiliarity of most of the rest of us. Most of us here in Utah and in the United States are not in the military. Only 1%, less than, actually is in the uniform. 7 or 8% if you count all living veterans, which means the majority of us don't have that experience personally. The majority of teachers don't have a connection to the military. The majority of child care providers or soccer coaches. And so a lot of the work I'm trying to do through the Purple Star School program that you've talked about before, Purple Up Day, that's what today is looking at how do we help the rest of us raise our awareness so that we can all support the military child, even without having had the personal experience like, Holly, you have had growing up as an Air Force brat. Most of us aren't. Most teachers are not. So looking at providing resources, raising awareness, having conversations, that really changes things. It sounds so simple, but it makes really significant changes that then provides more safety and structure and support for these kids who probably don't yet have the wherewithal to articulate why they're feeling stressed or what they're worried about. It's just that uncertainty in the air that they pick up on.
That is Jenny Taylor, the wife of fallen Utah Army National Guard member Major Brent Taylor, joining Inside Sources. But it's not just the kids of military service members. There are unique challenges parents of military service members also face. Joining me for that part of the conversation is Jason Swenson, a senior writer at the Deseret News and the parent of a sailor in the Navy. Thank you so much for being with me.
Oh, you're welcome, Maria. It's good to be with you.
So, Jason, describe for us kind of the specific struggles or challenges that you face as a parent of a military service member.
Well, obviously, I look at the morning's news as soon as I get up with just a bit of trepidation, certainly with what's happening in the world today and how that directly affects our military. And so each day you wonder, will this be the day that perhaps things escalate? Will it be the day that perhaps, my own son, our own child is called to be directly involved in this? And, of course, our thoughts are always with all of those other parents and certainly children and spouses who have loved ones in uniform during a tenuous time. And there's uncertainty as to what each day will bring.
Right. How do you keep your perspective so that you aren't living in fear? What kinds of things do you have a routine that helps you kind of balance that fear with what's actually happening?
I think it's always good whenever we have an opportunity to speak to our son. Our son Christian is an officer in the Navy. Whenever, say, technology allows us to connect, whether that means texting or FaceTiming or even just a phone call, it's certainly great just to be able to see or hear him to get sort of his day-to-day perspective on things, know that he's doing well today, and that just sort of boosts us. Unfortunately, that's not always an option, particularly for those who have loved ones in uniform that are underway or deployed. And so it can be a real challenge, Maria, trying to stay up and stay positive and hopeful each day. But certainly in our case, we've been fortunate to have a military son who sort of keeps our own spirits up as he goes about his duties.
Right. Christian also has a young child, as I understand, and that's got to raise different challenges for you.
No, absolutely. Our son has an 18-month-old son, or I'm sorry, his son, our first grandson. And it's no surprise. He's in the Navy, which means much of the duty. He's a surface warfare officer. And so much of his day-to-day duties involve being out in the water. His ship, as we speak, is underway in the Pacific. And so he has his own son, an 18-month-old, who is going through so many of those memorable benchmarks and moments, whether it's taking his first steps or learning all those new words or just developing that fun personality at that age. And those are a lot of things that he's missing. And unfortunately, a lot of those things, they can, an iPhone on hand can sort of record those moments, but it's certainly not the same as being there in person. And so there's certainly day-to-day challenges that he faces, knowing that this little boy is growing up to some degree outside of his view.
That is super tough. Well, thank you for his service. But also, you must be very proud of what your son is doing. So there's the other side of the coin, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's as Jenny had mentioned in her interview earlier. We of course have all volunteer force, and only a tiny percentage of Americans are serving in uniform. And so anytime we see a man or a woman who decides that this is going to be the service that they're going to perform, you feel a lot of pride and certainly, so much appreciation, recognizing full well the sacrifices that they're making and the sacrifices that they could be asked to make.
All right, we appreciate you. Thank you so much, and we appreciate your son as well. Jason Swenson is a senior writer at the Deseret News. Today is Purple Up Day. Comes from Governor Spencer Cox, who asked Utahns to wear purple to show visible support for military children.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Utahns of all ages and backgrounds now in the last-minute rush to get their taxes filed before tonight's deadline.
I think they just don't want to get it done.
And if you aren't going to make tonight's deadline, you may want to look at an extension.
When you do get around to filing your income taxes, if you owe money and you haven't filed that extension, you're going to get hit with a failure to file penalty.
And the time is 2 o'clock on Wednesday, April 15th, tax day. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, last-minute troubles ahead of the impending deadline. We are breaking it all down with the certified public accountant. Also this hour,
you have not even experienced hockey until you've been to the Stanley Cup playoffs. So just really excited for everybody in our community to see what it's like.
The Utah Mammoth preparing for their last in-season game at the same time they prepare for their first chance at the Stanley Cup. We'll get a preview of the playoffs coming up at 2:30. But first, our top stories. Policy analysts say Utah has the best economic outlook of any state in the U.S. for the 19th year in a row. The American Legislative Exchange Council's rankings are heavily based off of state tax policy, and that's a big reason why Utah Congressman Blake Moore believes Utah is still leading the pack.
Making tax policy permanent, as I mentioned, is going to be the factor that keeps businesses and individuals knowing what they have to look forward to, the consistency that's needed to give that confidence back to the market.
In past year, Democrats have criticized this report because they say it ignores factors that affect working families. Utah's GOP leaders responded by pointing to tax cuts that they have made, plus the state's growth in median household income. Our top national story from ABC News. Today, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says that peace talks are still underway between the U.S. and Iran, but denied rumors that the U.S. asked for a 2-week extension of the ceasefire agreement.
We remain very much engaged in these negotiations, in these talks. You heard from the Vice President directly and the President this week that these conversations are productive and ongoing, and that's where we are right now. I've also seen some reporting about the potentiality for in-person discussions again. Those discussions are being had, but nothing is official until you hear it from us here at the White House.
Meantime, the U.S. continues to blockade the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump says the blockade is now fully implemented. Taking a look at your money at this moment at the close, the Dow down by about 35 points, sitting at 48,498. S&P 500 up by 58 points, and the NASDAQ, it's up by 375 points, more than a full 1.5%. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. What's happening, Ricky?
Crash-free and delay-free on all the Valley freeways. Our main secondary is also looking pretty good. But in Davis County, you need to avoid 1800 North due to emergency maintenance that's closed that road in both directions between 1500 and 2000 West. Spring has blossomed in Box Elder County. History, recreation, and wildlife. And excellent dining and shopping await you. Learn more at visitboxeldercounty.com. Produced in cooperation with the Utah Office of Tourism. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We are enjoying nice warm temperatures today. That's not the case tomorrow, where the high is going to drop down to 55 degrees and a good chance, 90% chance of rain and possibly some snow showers as well. Friday, still a 50% chance of rain. Right now, 64 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Now there's a new way to take charge of your blood sugar. Introducing new Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula from the makers of the nation's best-selling garlic supplement. New Garlic helps maintain healthy blood sugar levels with clinically supported levels of garlic, plus a custom blend of vitamins and minerals, and it's odor-free. Take charge of your blood sugar with new Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
For over 22 years, speaking on business on KSL News Radio has been a beloved tradition, celebrating our heroic business leaders and Utah consumers who have helped build one of the strongest state economies in the nation. Now, under the stewardship of the Salt Lake Chamber and hosted by Chamber President and CEO Derek Miller, the program continues to shine a spotlight on those who make Utah's business environment dynamic and thriving. With his expertise and passion, Derek brings the stories of our business community to life. As part of the Salt Lake Chamber, Speaking on Business is proud to continue its legacy of highlighting inspiring stories, trends, and special guests. Support Utah businesses now and be part of Utah's thriving economy. More information can be found at slchamber.com. That's slchamber.com.
Breaking news on Midday, I'm Maria Shilaos. Prosecutors have asked for more time before charging the Springville man accused of killing his mother and another man. 28-year-old Matthew Leonard was booked on Saturday for 2 counts of aggravated murder after police received several tips that Sarah Johnson and John Hendricks were killed. Witnesses told police that they heard gunshots coming from Johnson's home back in March. Police say they found shell casings and blood inside the home. The bodies have not been found. The last-minute rush is on for many Utahns hoping to file their taxes before tonight's midnight deadline. KSL News Radio's Cameron Elliott went out in search for how Utahns feel about taxes this year and whether folks are rushing to beat the deadline.
The only thing that was difficult this year was I had to do it was a 1099 NEC, I think, something like that. It was just gig works and stuff like that.
New tax laws and situation changed for me, and so I had some instances where I was out of town, so that delayed it, but just trying to coordinate if it was going to be correct with some of the changes and getting it verified with a TurboTax.
According to the Utah Tax Commission, a good number of returns have yet to come in, and the deadline is just a few hours away. We turn to Susan Spears, who is the CEO of the Utah Association of CPAs, to get some last-minute tax tips for filers and to find out why people wait until the last minute.
I think they just don't want to get it done. And something that I've noticed over the years, kind of interesting and maybe anecdotal, is it kind of depends on what's going on in the country and who the leadership of the country is and what's going on in Congress. If they don't see what their country's doing for them, there's less of a desire to pay their income taxes.
I thought there was a very interesting article that came out this morning from the Census Bureau saying that many people don't feel good about taxes because they feel like they are paying more than their fair share and the wealthy aren't paying their share. What do you think about that?
Well, I heard a little bit about that as well, and it made me recall another set of data points that were published, it's been 3 or 4 years ago, that only 49% of Americans pay income tax. And it's not, I would like to do more digging into this Pew Research that you're talking about, because that research indicated that we have kind of the lower income levels, they get earned income credit, the tax credits and all that. And the upper income levels, they're paying a lot of capital gains tax and ordinary income tax. So it's kind of an interesting thing. Now, what's interesting to me is like we're seeing the middle class disappear in America.
How do you mean? How am I disappearing, Susan?
Well, yeah, I know exactly. It feels it's kind of a weird thing where we're seeing more and more people needing help. I mean, if you think about it, you could be making just over $60,000 a year and qualify for earned income tax credit. So I mean, $60,000 a year didn't used to be a bad salary. Mm-hmm. And then you have the top 1-2% of people that are making a ton of money. But that in-between area, really where it all goes on, where the spending, the buying, the selling, the money power is, that middle level is shrinking. So for me, it's fascinating because I'm not sure what to think of that.
For those people who have waited until the last minute, is it better at this point in time for them just to file an extension, or who should file an extension?
You know what? If you can't get your taxes filed today, file an extension. Regardless, because when you do get around to filing your income taxes, if you owe money and you haven't filed that extension, you're going to get hit with a failure to file penalty. And that's 5% per month of any unpaid taxes, up to 25% of the tax owed. So, let's say you owe $1,000 in taxes. Just because you didn't file that extension, it could cost you $250.
Whoa. So what are your concerns? Yeah, that is a lot. So what are your concerns for those folks who have waited till the last minute? I mean, what do they really need to keep an eye on as they're rushing to do this?
Well, I think they need to certainly make sure that you have all your tax documents gathered and everything. If you can make any sort of estimate as to if you're going to owe money, pay that in with your extension. Just, the tax is due today regardless of whether you file. Okay. That's what you have to remember.
And the deadline, this is a hard deadline, right? And it's not a business day deadline where the day ends at 5. So tell us about this deadline.
It's midnight tonight. Taxes are due. So thank goodness we can pay electronically. I mean, you can actually go online on the IRS website and pay them online. I will say, though, yesterday the site was down. I haven't heard anything today, but the taxes are due by midnight tonight.
Okay. And if someone needs to file an extension, how do they do that?
You can go onto the IRS website. There's an IRS free file link that you can click on to just do it on the IRS website. That's free. If you have a CPA, I know our CPAs, we've been filing them since January because we kind of know in our own client base who's going to do it. You could probably call a CPA and see if they'll do one for you as well. But, if you don't have a CPA, I'd go on the IRS website.
So what are some of the conditions? I mean, what can the reasons be for filing an extension?
Really pretty much anything. The extensions don't ask that question anymore. It's just haven't had time to file my income taxes. I mean, oftentimes people will file because they don't think they've received all their prior year information, and there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, some of these, W-2s and 1099s, they're due by January 31st, but we see a lot of business entities that wait, or for whatever, they extend those, especially with our brokerage houses and, they're issuing 1099s for dividends and interest. Sometimes it's just plain time. Right now here in Utah, I think of Hill Air Force Base, we have a lot of airmen that have been deployed for 6 weeks now. They probably haven't had time to file their income taxes. So they get, so that we need to make sure that they're extended as well.
Right. And then that extension only means that you have until October 15th to file your taxes.
Yes, that is the drop dead date. That's the final date.
All right. Anything that we need to add for folks?
I think, if you owe, make sure you file or extend those taxes. I want to make sure that people know that they can avoid that failure to file penalty. So make sure that you get those extensions of those returns in and pay what you can.
Susan Spears is the CEO of the Utah Association of CPAs. And I will say that if you're one of those people who are expecting a refund, they have been getting the refunds out to people very quickly. As we look at filing taxes, a new report says the average Utah family spends roughly 2.5 hours of every working day just to pay taxes. Utah Taxpayers Association just released their annual Beehive Family Report, which looks at how much taxes a typical middle-class Utah family pays on the local, state, and federal levels. Association President Billy Hesterman explains how they came up with the 2.5-hour figure in their report.
One of the interesting things we find in this report is that for the average family, we calculate that the first 2.5 hours of work in your 8-hour workday, you're paying for taxes. And then that last bit of time that you have left on your 8-hour day, that's the money you get to take home and have in your family bank account. And so that's where we're trying to draw that analogy of, we hope people realize how much they're actually paying to the government, and that's something they can be cognizant of and realize maybe we should get involved. Maybe we should start asking questions of our officials. What are you doing with that money? How much is it costing to provide, the services that we enjoy, having potholes fixed and streetlights that work and all those, and schools that are clean and safe. But also maybe taking a chance to go, should it be this high? Should I work that much for the government? Or should the government be looking for ways to cut and give me some of that money back?
Hesterman tells KSL that Utah runs pretty middle of the pack when compared to other states. And while our tax rate might not be the lowest in the country, he says it's important that Utah use the tax money received from its citizens in the most responsible way possible.
The goal with taxes is to make sure that as the money is collected, that yes, it's going back to specific uses that you have from the government. It's not perfect. You can think of, we all pay into public education, but we don't necessarily go to school or have kids in the school. But there's an argument to say we all benefit from an educated society, so there is that tie to it. So yeah, I do think that by and large, we're seeing the taxpayers are getting a good result from the money they're spending on government services. But we do think that the government can always spend or stretch their dollar a little bit further and make sure that they are being prudent and efficient with the money they collect and not spending just recklessly like maybe some of us do on the private side.
Billy Hesterman is the president of the Utah Taxpayers Association. You can read the full report on the association's website. Here in Utah, 3 deadly motorcycle crashes in just the last week. We are talking motorcycle safety coming up next. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Here's Ricky Meese.
If you're traveling I-15 or any of the other Valley freeways, you're good to go. Watch for road crews blocking a lane of travel, and they're out in Sandy. This is 13th East at 9400 South. Looking to connect your kids with nature? Flower gardening is hands-on time together and memories. Olson's Greenhouse offers perfect plants for families to grow together. For porches, patios, beds, or containers, visit Olson's at OGG.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
This is Nate Orchard from Advanced Window Products. When you live in Utah, your windows do a lot more than let the light in. They protect your home from freezing winters, blazing summers, and everything in between. That's why Advanced Window Products builds every window for your local climate. No middleman, no out-of-state delays, just factory direct quality, custom made for your home. Imagine a quieter home, a warmer home, a cooler home. Our high-efficiency vinyl windows are engineered to lower your energy bills and boost your comfort all year round. And installation is done by our own certified in-house crews, never subcontractors. That's why Utah homeowners give us 5-star reviews. Right now, take advantage of our anniversary sale. For a limited time, get $2,500 off when you buy 10 or more windows. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. For 40 years, Advanced Window Products has been the name Utah trusts for custom replacement windows and sliding glass doors. Advanced Window Products, built here, installed here, trusted here. Call 801-850-9100 for that $2,500 off, or visit us at advancedwindows.com to schedule your free in-home estimate.
Progressive knows life takes you in many directions.
Bear right at exit 32, then begin to wonder why you never bought a fish tank. In 1.3 miles, you'll realize you've been mispronouncing epitome your whole life. At the roundabout, you will remember you said something at dinner you wish you hadn't, and will think about it for decades. You have arrived at your destination, but it turns out there really is no destination, and life just keeps going.
Wherever life takes you, protect your home and auto with a bundle from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
A multi-billion-dollar settlement is paying claims for up to 21 years. If you were exposed to weed killers at work or at home, your rights are affected. If you or your family has or had non-Hodgkin lymphoma, you could receive $6,000 to $165,000 or more. This settlement impacts you even if you're not sick, because this blood cancer can take 10 to 15 years to appear. If you stay in the settlement, you give up your right to sue. Learn more at weedkillerclass.com or call 888-403-8201. Paid for by the Roundup Settlement.
It's spring. You get outside and it's obvious your house needs painting. Make an appointment with CertaPro Painters. They'll give you a free estimate quickly and at the right price. And they make the entire process easy with reliable updates and communication. They know how important your home is to you. True professionals, they're committed to quality and exceptional service at the right price. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated, so schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Motorcycle deaths are on the rise, with 3 motorcyclists dying on Utah roads in just the last week. The trend is raising concerns for UDOT, who's concerned that this year could shape up to be just as deadly as last year, when 72 motorcyclists died across the state. So what can motorcyclists and all drivers do to keep the roads and highways safe for motorcycles? I spoke with Sarah Nelson, a rider coach with the Utah Rider Ed, to get her recommendations.
One of the top reasons for these crashes right now are single motorists. So it's just the motorcyclists themselves not negotiating a curve properly. And so that's a huge thing when it comes to skill and practice. And just working on your skills in general will obviously make anything safer, but being able to negotiate curves is a large part of our curriculum, whether it be the basic course, the experienced course, or our advanced courses. In particular, people who have been riding for a while who get comfortable with bad habits, or maybe just get comfortable and get a new bike and all of a sudden have new experiences on that new bike. Those people would benefit highly from like an advanced rider course, where we focus a lot on what to do in a curve as far as positioning of your body, and that changes per motorcycle, so working with you on your own bike would help so much, and just improving any skill will help dramatically out there in the community.
Is there any requirement when someone buys a motorcycle to take any sort of course like this? I mean, you have to take driver's ed to drive a car.
You kind of. I mean, they don't make people do driver's ed now unless you're under 18. So that's also, I feel like, a part of our problem. But there are no requirements to take a rider course at all anywhere in the state, whether it's buying a bike or getting a license.
Let's talk for a minute about the beginning course. Give us some idea as to what some of the basics are for a beginner.
So we'll start right off with clutch control. I mean, learning how to use the clutch in the friction zone. And then number 2, most important, is the brakes. And if you're going to learn to go, you also have to learn to stop. So that's highly important. And we focus on those to start. And then we'll go into basic curve technique. And we also go into low-speed maneuvers, which is general overall control.
What do you tell folks as far as defensive driving?
We have to work on our own skills and be able to look out for ourselves on the road. We tell people all the time, look out for motorcycles, but you can't rely on that. You have to practice your quick stops, evasive maneuvers, and be defensive when riding.
Talk about what happens after they learn the basics and why they should take some of the more advanced courses.
So once you start with the basic course, then you're usually off going and getting your own personal motorcycle because we supply the bikes for that basic course. And like I said, each motorcycle is different, and that helps you bond with your new motorcycle to where you're more comfortable on the road on that machine.
That is really important. I didn't know that you provided a motorcycle for the basic course, so someone can actually see if they do have the skill to ride a motorcycle before they even buy one.
That is one of our goals, is to make sure, if someone goes through class and they decide this isn't for me, we've done our job as well. Hopefully everyone's successful, but sometimes they'll figure out that they're not ready for a motorcycle yet.
You mentioned the clutch and the curves, but what is it that you see is the biggest mistake or weakness that motorcycle riders have?
I would just say overconfidence, just thinking, I rode 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I can get back on a bike. Well, motorcycles were quite different 30 years ago, 40 years ago. And again, it all comes down to learning the machine and constantly wanting to be a better rider.
When you hear about these deadly crashes, what is your reaction? As somebody who's trying to teach these safety courses, how does this sit with you?
It doesn't sit well. And we have seen an increase in numbers taking the course the past few years, which helps, and we're reaching more public. We've been doing more promotional training with sponsorships to allow people to get skills with no cost. And that hopefully will help that as well. I know we have one coming up August 2nd. It's a skills practice course for experienced riders. And Weber Morgan Health Department is sponsoring the tuition. So you get 2.5 hours of free training on your bike, and they'll be able to tune up without any cost to them. And hopefully those events will help a lot.
Sarah Nelson is a rider coach with Utah Rider Ed. A new effort is underway in Utah to ensure the critical minerals that we need for all of our technology is available in our own country. University of Utah is launching a new institute aimed at expanding the critical mineral supply chain domestically. Professor Michael Free says the Institute for Critical and Strategic Materials will benefit us nationally and locally.
When we pick up our cell phones, a good example of this is, they're fairly expensive, but there are only, a small fraction of the value is actually in these critical minerals, but our phone won't work without it. So the same is true with a lot of computer technology and a lot of different kinds of things that we rely on. And so it's critical that we have these supplies. So if the supply gets disrupted, that means that the manufacturer can't make the cell phone or the computer, or in the case of military equipment, there's military equipment that couldn't be made. There's just in terms of clean energy and other things, we can't make some of these devices like a new electric vehicle or the batteries that go into our phones or whatever. We can't make these without these critical minerals. So if the supply chain gets disrupted, then the manufacturing has to stop at some point, and we're left in a situation where it can become a little bit of a national security issue, because if we can't get a hold of these things that run our society, what do we do? And it disrupts things, it disrupts the economy, it disrupts what we can do, and there's some military ramifications that are also associated with that too. So it's generally a big societal disruption if we can't get these kinds of access to these things that we need to have our society run with all the devices we have.
Free is a professor in the U.S. Department of Materials Science and Engineering, and he tells KSL News Radio's Michelle Rowe how it will work.
We're looking at ways that we can help the overall process of how this whole supply chain works, right? So better ways of discovering, better ways of processing, better ways of managing the downstream aspects of it, from the manufacturing to the supply chains to the impact on society and such. So we're trying to look at this holistically and do a better job of having all of this work, so it can help Utah, it can help places around the country to be able to do each of these facets more effectively.
He says a lot of the focus will also be on new advancements in the field.
So we do have some new technologies that we're looking at that relate to the finding of the materials, where they're located. We have new technologies that we're developing, and we have actually some filed patents and things on that front for being able to extract more effectively these critical minerals and turn them into metals, the processing routes. And so we're using a lot of our prior patents and technologies that we've developed as part of this, but we're also in the process of developing new technologies, and we have a lot of active research in this area already. So a lot of this is focused on, improving the ways that we find and extract and purify these metals that we need, and also doing it with a reduced environmental footprint. So we're trying to improve all aspects and trying to do it at lower cost and, an overall better outcome for increasing the amount that we can produce while reducing the impacts that could be negative and also increasing the positive side. So if we do it domestically, we also have additional jobs and facilities and things like that that can help the economy and help reduce our foreign dependence on some of these particular critical minerals.
Professor Free says the Institute will create a wide variety of jobs across the state in fields like mining, research, the legal industry, and more. He also says it will give students in the program valuable experience. It's 2:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. The Utah Mammoth, just days away from their first ever run for the Stanley Cup. We'll get a check-in on how they're preparing. Spring football training wrapping up at the University of Utah. We'll get a look at how the team is shaping up for the season. And KSL traffic, Ricky.
Already some busy traffic on I-15 in Sandy and Draper. Maria?
KSL's top local stories. The Utah County Attorney's Office is asking for more time before they file formal charges against 28-year-old Matthew Leonard, the Springville man accused of killing his mother and another man. Police say they found shell casings and blood inside his mother's home back in March, and witnesses said that they heard gunshots. Leonard was booked into the Utah County Jail over the weekend for 2 counts of aggravated murder connected to Sarah Johnson and John Hendricks. The 2 are missing and presumed dead. Their bodies have not been found. Other local stories KSL is following. Young people are getting strokes more often, and it could be because of the 2026 lifestyle. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
There's a lot of sitting and other poor health choices. Poor diet, lack of exercise, smoking, and drinking can all lead to health issues that cause a stroke.
Traditional vascular risk factors like hypertension, obesity, diabetes are exceedingly common in young adults with ischemic stroke. And over the last decade, its incidence is only continuing to rise.
Neurologist Dr. Aaron Shoskes with the University of Utah says more should be done to warn young people about the risk of stroke and encourage them to get regular checkups. Strokes have traditionally been a concern for adults over age 65, but over the past 10 years, strokes in adults under that age have risen by nearly 16%. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Taking a look at your money at this moment at the close, the Dow was down by 72 points to end at 48,463. S&P up by 55 points, and the NASDAQ up by 376 points. That's 1.5%. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU, love where you bank. Here's Ricky Meese.
Maria, we're already starting to see an uptick in traffic on southbound I-15 between the South Interchange and 90th South. Now, that said, it's still moving along pretty well, and northbound I-15 getting busy exiting at Bangerter Highway in Draper. When you need the financial products and services for every stage of life, Cypress Credit Union is there for whatever the future holds. Visit cypresscu.com today. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
It's a warm, blustery day, and those winds bringing in a storm for tomorrow. 90% chance of showers tomorrow, and the temperature dropping down quite substantially, down to 55 for a high. and 90% chance of a rain-snow mix. Then on Friday, down to 47 degrees for a high and still a 50% chance of showers. Right now, 69 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you want to walk, play pickleball, and enjoy other fun activities to stay healthy, but you can't because of bad feet? Hi, this is Mike, and the Good Feet store wants to help.
I just had difficulty walking. I tried them on in the store, and my foot felt so much better.
Do you keep buying new shoes and inserts with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet store.
Don't let bad feet, knees, or back problems get in the way of staying healthy and having fun.
Thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm bowling 3 nights a week.
Get back to doing what you love. At the Good Feet store, we'll personally fit you at high-quality arch supports to maximize your comfort. Stop in the Good Feet store or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. The Utah Mammoth now waiting on bated breath to learn who they will face after clinching the top wildcard spot in the West last night. Joining me to learn more about the playoffs is Cole Bagley, who is KSL's Mammoth insider. And first of all, Cole, what does it mean to earn the top wildcard spot?
Yeah, so the way that the Stanley Cup playoffs are set up is it's not your traditional 1 through 8 seeding. How it works is there's 4 divisions, and the top 3 from each division qualify for the playoffs. But then they take the top 2 remaining teams as wild card teams throughout the rest of the conferences, and those 2 teams then draw the top teams from their respective top 2 divisions. So right now, Utah has clinched the top wild card spot, which means that they will play the winner of the Pacific Division in the first round.
So this is a young team. How big a deal is it for them to make the playoffs?
Yeah, it's huge. This is just kind of the culmination of everything that they've been building over the last couple seasons. Dating back to Arizona, this team, hit the reset button about 5 years ago. They weren't happy with their current trajectory. They sold off on a lot of their players. They made a bunch of trades, and they invested in a rebuild. And that's come with some growing pains. That's come with some opportunity to mature and to take notable steps every season. And like I said, 5 years in, this was the standard. This is what they expected to do this year. They talked about it during the opening interviews at the beginning of the season, and even dating back to the end of last season. They wanted to make the playoffs, and they've been able to do that. So, yeah, it's just another step in the right direction, which ultimately is, for them in their minds, is winning a Stanley Cup. But you got to start somewhere, and now that they've made the playoffs, they can start gathering playoff experience and learn what it takes to get to the top.
Okay, so describe what is in store for the Mammoth as they do move into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a good question. So as of right now, like I said, they've clinched the top wildcard spot. They will await the winner of the Pacific Division. That has yet to be determined, although it could be decided as early as tonight if the Vegas Golden Knights are able to get just a point in their final game of the regular season, that means they either win in regulation or even if they lose in overtime, they would punch the top of the Pacific, which would punch their ticket as the divisional winner, and they would then face Utah in the first round. So, but if that doesn't happen, there is a chance that Utah could end up playing Edmonton. So it'll be one of the two teams, either Vegas or Edmonton. At that point, for Utah, they're definitely going to be the underdogs. They're embracing that mentality, but there's just so much parity in the National Hockey League. There's so much parity in the playoffs that bottom seeds beat top seeds all the time. It's just kind of the beauty of the sport. And so, for them, I think it's just going in with confidence, regardless of who it is. And playoff hockey, there is nothing like it. Just the intensity. Every check is bigger. Every hit is bigger. Every goal, means so much more. And so, for Utah, this is going to definitely be a good opportunity to learn, and almost an exploratory opportunity, right? This is their first chance. For a lot of these guys, it's the first time they've made the playoffs. So there's a lot for them to learn here as they enter the postseason.
Describe how the Stanley Cup playoffs work. I mean, are any of these games going to be held here in Salt Lake City?
Yeah. So every round is a best of 7, and how it works is the top seed in the matchup gets 2 games at home, and then the bottom seed gets 2 games at home, and then from there it's 1-1-1. So there's Utah will at least host 2 playoff games, and then if they're able to prolong the series, they could end up hosting 3 in the first round, and then if they're able to punch their ticket to future rounds, it kind of goes from there. So Utah, Salt Lake City, the Delta Center are about to experience, I'm obviously biased, but, in my opinion, the greatest postseason in all of sports. I mean, the Stanley Cup, it just means more. Everything is just, I don't know if you've been to a game or fans that have been to a game, but you have not even experienced hockey until you've been to the Stanley Cup playoffs. So just really excited for everybody in our community to see what it's like.
Cole Bagley is KSL's Mammoth Insider. Join Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News tomorrow and Friday at 4:45 for in-depth coverage on the upcoming Stanley Cup playoffs and the effects of the Mammoth making those playoffs. That's tomorrow and Friday, 4:45 in the afternoon, right here on KSL News Radio. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
Taxes could be your biggest expense in retirement. More than housing, more than healthcare, or anything else. And many retirees will overpay their taxes by tens of thousands of dollars every single year. Learn how you could significantly reduce your taxes in retirement at a free event with retirement tax expert Becky Swansberg on Thursday, April 23rd at 6:30 p.m. in downtown Salt Lake. It's hosted by Boss Retirement Solutions. Becky worked in the White House and on Capitol Hill on tax policy, and she has the inside track on the proven strategies that could lead to a windfall of savings in retirement. This event is free, but seating is limited. So reserve your free ticket now by calling this number, 801-850-6988. That number one more time, 801-850-6988.
For informational purposes only, not tax, legal, or investment advice. Speaker is not a client and does not endorse BOSS. Speaker compensation creates a conflict of interest.
Spring ball is wrapping up at the University of Utah this week, and we got a chance to see how the team is shaping up for the season. Joining me to talk about it is Steve Bartle, Ute Insider for KSL Sports. And Steve, what are you seeing from the team?
Yeah, a lot of good, positive energy throughout spring ball. It's been fun to kind of get a feel for Morgan Scally and what his program's going to look like. Obviously, a big transition this year going from Kyle Whittingham to Coach Scally, and I think it's been, it's been cool to be up here as often as we have to get a close look. They've had us up here to watch practice a number of times, and the team is looking good. Devin Dampier and Bird Ficklin, Utah's 2 quarterbacks, have played really well. They've looked improved as quarterbacks, and this passing attack is going to look a little bit different than it has in years past.
So tell us a little bit about what you've been observing with the coach. How is he different than the previous coach?
Yeah, obviously, I think, given where Kyle Whittingham was at in his career and his stage of life, Morgan Scally is just, he's a jolt of energy and a jolt of life, and he's definitely you can feel that in how he's kind of built the program. And each and every little thing, every opportunity we've had to watch the team and be around the team and talk to coaches or players, they all kind of talk about the increased energy and vibe levels around the program have just really improved. So I think that first and foremost is the thing that maybe stands out the most, is just kind of the difference in energy at practices, and then too, it's been, you go from a defensive coordinator where you're pretty hands-on with one side of the ball, and transitioning to head coach where you now have to manage both sides. It's been interesting to see how he's managed that. He's been fair to both sides, in certain situations, and it's just been interesting to see how he's kind of taken the mantle and has really kind of gotten off to a great start here.
What is he saying about the progress being made by the team?
Yeah, he's saying a lot of good things. Obviously with what Utah accomplished last season, an 11-2 record, and there were a lot of guys on that team that have now moved on due to graduation or declaring for the NFL draft, and then with obviously the transition and some of the departures that they've made, there's been a number of groups that have gone through a significant makeover, offensive line, defensive line in particular, corner, the defensive secondary as well. And he's talked about the progress that those two groups have made. He's been really impressed with the progress that those groups have made. And then, the other groups that have really kind of stood out, that wide receiver position, quarterback with Dev and Bird, and Morgan's been really pleased with what he's seen. And most importantly, I think what's been interesting is they've come out of spring ball really healthy. And I think that's been a point of emphasis for Scally, in terms of how he's kind of tweaked practices and how they've managed things. Utah's coming out of this really healthy and in a good place for the next phase of the offseason.
So what work still needs to be done before the fall?
Yeah, the offensive line is still a work in progress. When you have to replace 5 starters and they've got to come together and develop chemistry, that's going to take time. And so that offensive line is still a work in progress. And then too, with that is going to be just the continued development of chemistry between quarterbacks and wide receivers, the running backs and the offensive line in the run game. And then just defensively, a lot of players continuing to get more comfortable and acclimated with the defensive scheme. There's a lot of new faces, in terms of the players on both sides of the ball. And so there's a lot of learning going on. And so this is an opportunity for players now as you get into May, June, and July, where they kind of take ownership. And that's what Morgan Scally emphasized in his media availability on Tuesday, was just it's on the players now to kind of take hold of their development and put in the work over these next couple of months. And
does he sound optimistic that they can get it done?
Oh, yeah, very optimistic. That's been a point of emphasis, players kind of taking hold of their development in spring ball. And, it sounds like that's been the message that he's hammered home to his guys. They feel really good about where they're at. They've got the right pieces in place, and it's just about continuing to improve and developing and all that sort of stuff. But they feel really optimistic about where they're at coming out of spring ball and, hopefully where they're headed come fall.
The coach opted out of a spring football game, instead looking to a fan day that's going to be happening this Saturday. So what's going to happen for fans this Saturday?
Yeah, it's going to be a unique opportunity where, fans are going to be able to come up to the practice facility. They're actually going to do it in the indoor facility up here on Guardsman Way. And, they'll have opportunities to do different activities with players. There will be a signing, not a booth, but they're going to have every player at tables to sign posters and there's going to be opportunities to hear from Coach Scally and other players as well throughout the day. So, they've done this in the past, as they've come out of fall camp, and doing this now with spring ball, you're seeing it across the country where programs are no longer doing those spring games. And, on one hand, it stinks that we're losing, some of the staples of college football, like a spring game. But I think just with where, college sports is headed, that this is the type of thing that you're going to see across the country continue to grow and that sort of thing. So Utah's, it's going to be a great opportunity to fans come up to campus and get a look at the new squad.
Steve Bartle is the Ute insider for KSL Sports. After the break, it's almost time to get into the full swing of gardening. We'll talk about how gardening and landscape work is good for your mental health. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Here's Ricky Meese.
Traffic continues to build. It's getting busy. Southbound I-15 from Murray at 5300 South through Midvale, and again in Utah County on southbound I-15 as you're passing 2100 North Lehigh. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Is your financial advisor managing your risk or just a spreadsheet? Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. Many financial advisors rely on target date funds, which are one-size-fits-all portfolios that don't know your name, your family, or your goals. And that passive management can leave you dangerously exposed. At Trajan, we look at the whole picture, not just the stocks everyone else buys, but the private market opportunities most advisors ignore. And as fiduciaries, we build a strategy around you, coordinating your investments, tax strategy, and estate into one cohesive plan. Your financial life deserves more than just a generic portfolio. Real planning isn't a stack of statements. It's the confidence of knowing where your income will come from for the next 30 years. Good enough isn't good enough for your family. It's time for a change. Schedule your complimentary consultation today.
Call Trajan today at 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Private equity investments require accreditation. Other services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
Celebrate National Serger Month with super deals on all sewing machines and sergers at Dave's Bernina in St. George and Provo.
0% interest for 24 months on purchases over $1,000.
Purchase a new Bernina L890, L860, or L850 model
and receive special pricing plus an option for a free or discounted Bernina Serger Studio. The world-famous Bernina 990 is on sale and includes thousands of dollars worth of free add-ons. Take advantage of 20% off Bernina Serger accessories.
Amazing bargains on previously owned machines while they last that come with warranties.
Dave's Bernina has made a special purchase of previously owned Bernina 330s for only $499 and a limited supply of event machines, new out-of-the-box Bernina 770 and 790 Pro machines with full warranty.
Dave's Bernina, 691 East St. George Boulevard and 2017 North 550 West in Provo. Dave'sBernina.com.
At KSL News Radio, we have a 30-year legacy of honoring Utah teachers, but we can't do it without your help. Please tell us about an important teacher in your life on a KSL Teacher Tribute Wall presented by Cypress Credit Union. Each month, one lucky teacher wins a $500 gift card from Cypress Credit Union, a $250 gift card to Harmon's, plus season tickets to Hale Center Theater. Say thanks to your teacher today at kslnewsradio.com/teacher from Cypress Credit Union and KSL News Radio.
Pet owners and parents know the struggle. Every time dogs or kids go outside, they track mud right back in. If you're tired of scrubbing floors, you need Muddy Mat, the anti-mud mat that cleans paws and shoes before they ruin your home. Only Muddy Mat features thousands of ultra-soft microfibers that are 5 times more absorbent than ordinary mats, instantly trapping dirt and water to protect your floors. Put it by every door, under pet bowls, in the kitchen for spills. It even makes a perfect bath mat, and it's 100% machine washable, so cleanup is effortless.
Since getting Muddy Mat, I don't worry about what my dog gets into. His paws are clean the second he steps off.
No more mopping. I love it. Thank you, Muddy Mat. Right now, get a free medium Muddy Mat with your order of 2 or more mats at buymuddymat.com. This offer is only available at buymuddymat.com. That's BUYMUDDYMAT.com. Don't wait. Get your free Muddy Mat today at buymuddymat.com.
This is Jeff Stout with Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple. Let's talk conventional versus FHA loans. Both offer cash-out refinances up to 80% loan-to-value or LTV, so which is best for you? It's kind of like Uber and Lyft. I always compare the two before booking a ride. Conventional loans don't have mortgage insurance under 80% LTV. However, the rates and costs get higher with lower credit scores, cash out, and high LTVs. FHA loans always have mortgage insurance, but the rates are lower, they don't penalize you for cash out and high LTV loans, and they allow for higher debt-to-income ratios. FHA often results in lower payment even with mortgage insurance. We can analyze your situation within minutes. Call us today. Fink and McGregor, Mortgage is Made Simple, 801-264-9494. That's 264-9494. Or on the web at finkmcgregor.com. NMLS 289115.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. A bit of cold on the way over the next few days. There's a freeze warning in place for tomorrow night, but many Utahns are probably itching to get into the garden to get their hands in the soil. Did you know that this kind of thing is actually good for your mental health? I got details from Andy Stevenson at J&J Garden Center on dirt therapy.
Dirt therapy, there's nothing better than getting out in the sunshine on a nice sunny day and just getting your hands in that dirt and planting something, whether it's a vegetable garden or whether it's flowers or whatever. But at the end of the day, and then as the weeks go on and you start to harvest, you can kind of see what we call, the fruits of your labors of getting, what you've done, and it transpires into something beautiful, a nice full bed of flowers or big tomatoes or cucumbers or whatever the case may be. But it's very therapeutic to be out and to get your hands in the sunshine on you a little bit.
Mm-hmm. With the dry winter, what are some things that people are thinking about, or they should be thinking about, when they're planning their gardens or getting started with their lawns?
So a lot of things, start looking for, drought-tolerant plants, and they can come in everything from, perennials and shrubbery to even certain trees. Certainly there's other varieties in the annuals, gazanias and vincas and some of the portulaca stuff, annuals that are more drought tolerant. But also you can continue to plant all the other stuff. We just have to make sure that they're wise in how we're watering. And what we try to tell people is water like the farmers do. Water really good, soak the ground, soak it, and then leave it alone for a week and then do it again the next week. Now, certainly once it gets warmer, you'll have to maybe pick that up to a couple of times a week, but we certainly do not need to be watering, every day or every other day. And the other thing to do is to start with a good soil. Get some new amendments put in that, some peat moss, some of these other products that will help get a fresh batch of all-purpose, topsoil or a potting mix. Get those into the beds before you plant so that when they do get watered, it retains it better.
What would you say sets J&J apart from other places where people can buy their plants or garden supplies?
We try to make it kind of that one-stop shop that you can come here and you can get, all your gardening needs, whether it's supplies, whether it's, a new shovel, whether it's fertilizers. We have house plants and water plants, the whole outdoor tree and shrub and grass and ground cover and perennial section, and then inside, everything in there with the annual department and the vegetable department and all that kind of stuff, to where you can come and get it all, bulk products. We have grass seed, we have all the chemicals, anything you need to get your yard done and prepped for the season and then continue it through the whole year.
For someone who's just getting started with their lawn or garden this spring, what's the biggest mistake you see people make?
Well, I think probably the biggest thing is not getting, if you're going to plant in flower beds or whether it's gardening, is getting it prepped correctly. It's like building a house. If you start with a good foundation, the rest of it should go quite well. So that's the thing we tell people, is make sure the soil that you're doing, like I said, put some amendments in it, get it tilled, put down some Perine type of a weed preventer type chemical. Put that down. Get your stuff planted. And I think if you start with a good base when it comes to that, it's just like with your yard, like the grass. Get a good fertilizer down, with a pre-emergent in it to take care of weed seeds. And that's probably some of the biggest things we see is just make sure to start right.
Andy Stevenson is with J&J Garden Center. You can catch more conversations like that by tuning into the KSL Greenhouse every Saturday morning from 8 to 11. Tim Hughes is here in for Jeff Kaplan. You into gardening anymore, or you haven't done the greenhouse for a bit?
I sat in that chair quite a while.
You did.
I used to joke that they had me hosting the greenhouse because my job was to kill things, and Larry Sager's job or Tom Bettis' job was to bring it back to life.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you know what else I want to talk with you about is Fan Day for the Utes
Right.
is Saturday, and you're hosting?
I'm hosting. Normally, I think Bill Riley would be doing the honors, but there's a Ute baseball game going on at the same time. So as the voice of the stadium for football games, I'm going to be over there hosting the event and look forward to it. I just got an email, as a matter of fact, and I think originally they said it was going to be 4:30 to 6. This told me 4 to 6:30. Now, that might just be my call time.
I think that's your call time.
Yeah. But
anyway,
it's going to be fun. And the Utes aren't the only ones, by the way, that have decided spring football scrimmages are out.
I still feel a little bit bad about that, but okay, I get it. All right. Tim is here. Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News is next. Have a great afternoon.
KSL FM Midvale.